Peace, peace, fam. We're about to go live and have this discussion. Give us a few minutes while we get things in order. Peace, peace. What's going on, fam? I'm waiting for some of my brothers to jump in. Oh man, whew, this hearing was kind of crazy, but it was a hearing, and you got to understand the nature of the hearing is to hear both sides of the argument. Make sure you click the like button. Make sure you share this out. We are having this discussion. Give me a few minutes to share it out as well. As I wait for my bros to come on, we are going to discuss some of what we heard. I've heard some of the highest forms of coonery that I've ever heard my entire life. It's one thing to be dumb, right? Ignorant. Let me use that term. It's another thing to play dumb. There's a whole different dynamic to just play dumb. I mean, I was at the gym when it first started, so I had to really, I had to set up everything. I was already on my way out, and once I'm in my gym mode, I'm in my beast mode. So I was listening to it while I was working out, so I couldn't take notes, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because it now affords me the opportunity to go back and listen. And that's what we're gonna do. I'm actually thinking about I'm gonna consult with my brothers. I'm thinking about doing that tonight, where we take the piece from all of the coons, especially Burgess, Owens, Larry Elder, and Herschel Walker, who couldn't even say facts founding, and then had the nerve to speak.
Retard.
It then had the nerve to speak about education. Yo, dude, you done
Right.
took too many,
Oh God.
you done took too many blows to the head. He think, what's the character name? Bigsby from the Dave Chappelle show. He
Yeah.
think he's that guy.
Oh, Clayton Bigsby.
Clayton Bigsby.
No.
Goodness, man. Goodness. What
Yo,
was y'all
man.
thoughts?
My term is Sambo Coon. Sambo Coon. You heard? I took that from brother Wesley Muhammad. He came up with the term bully coon. And I was like, I like bully coon, but in this instance, Sambo coon is a better term for these types of Negroes, man. And it's so crazy because they make sure that they pick black men, particularly black men of native black ancestry. All three of those dudes are native black Americans, right? And they do that deliberately. They make sure we don't pick any immigrant this time, because last time they had the other guy, the little the bussy popping dude, right? I forget his but this, they made sure don't get no immigrants this time. Let's get native black Americans to be the Sambo coons doing our bidding. And man, because they want black people to argue with each other. They want them to be arguing with other black people up there in front of the world as anti-reparations. But see, you know who we need to have up there? We need somebody like Tim Wise, right? They need to get somebody like Tim Wise on their side to argue against those dudes and make them look real stupid.
Yeah, that would make them look stupid.
Yeah,
Sheesh,
my thing was like, if you know, Democrats controlling this thing and they're going to have the majority of the people to testify. I mean, what's up with the quality of people that they have testifying? Like, they should understand that, you know, this thing, you need to have high caliber people. And this
like
is
Darity.
no shot at, yeah, this is no shot at anybody on there. And I respect everybody.
No, shoot, Josh.
Work.
Oh yeah, shoot,
Josh.
No, I just gotta say
shoot.
this. I gotta
Shoot
say
at
this because you know, I don't know everybody on there, and I don't know everybody's background. But I'm just saying, we need to have. Look, if you listen to Larry Elder,
yes,
you need to have somebody that's going to match that level of
fire.
articulation. You're gonna need somebody that knows how to quickly and efficiently just destroy all of his points. I mean, we all of us on here can do it. We do it in our own way, but in a way that can, like, for example, when I was just listening to Larry Elder, I was like, yo, Darity would just straight kill this dude.
Right.
He would just straight kill
Come
this
on,
dude.
brother.
And with the same level of articulation, he would use bigger words. He would, you know what I'm saying? He would cite studies,
but use
and
the
make
actual
this dude,
facts.
Right. He would make this dude look like a fool. But because there's nobody else on there that's really built to match that type of dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He gets to look like, you know, he's the most distinguished Negro, and his points get to stand instead of getting destroyed.
Yeah, man. Yo, this is what they get, bro. This is that Democratic BS. This is what they get. And this is why Darity should have severed ties with that ADOS nonsense a long time ago, so that he could be in that place where he needs to be, representing the people the way the people need to be represented. Sheila Jackson Lee don't have the information, and she don't have that fire, man. You need that fire going against some. Look, Larry Elder is the king of the Sambo coons, bro. That's why they pulled him in there. I know the kind of energy that dude bring. The next thing you know, they're gonna be bringing Jesse Lee Peterson. Come on, man. They're assembling the Sambo coon army on you, man. You need some fire for them Negroes, man.
And the modern day Thomas Sowells, you know, the people that come from that ilk. That's the kind of people they have on there. So we got to bring our, you know, sharpened black intellectuals, not you know, anybody. And this is no shot again at anybody. Not people that are known for necessarily just all advocacy and people coming from an ideological background, but people coming from a education background or scholarly background. They noticed there was not one economist. At least on the last panel, we had one economist,
Julianne Malveaux.
You know, they didn't even have one economist. You know, nobody spoke to. You notice when they put the issues up, nobody put issues up coming from the Jim Crow era. They want to keep the conversation in slavery.
And it's silly when let me speak to when Larry was that Elder or Burgess Owens? Burgess Owens, I believe it was, that said, put a picture of my father up.
Yeah, Burgess Owens.
He was probably, now, if he's speaking like you, he was a damn coon too, and I don't care what you feel about it.
Now, that's a fact. Now, why tell her don't put a picture of a whipped up slave up? Put a picture of his father up. But what about Trayvon Martin? What about Eric Garner?
They were thugs. They were
What
thugs, and
about
they deserved to die.
what about George Floyd?
That's right.
He
What
was a
about
thug.
what about all of these different people that could have been held up? Let me tell y'all about my father. My father was a working man. You know, he grew up in the gangs of Brooklyn. My mother, that's how they met. I'm a son of two gangsters. It is what it is, right? But that's how they met. They met at the gang rallies in New York City, in Brooklyn
Sonny
particularly.
Carson and them.
That's right. My mother was a female outlaw under Sonny Carson, and my father was in a gang called the Hellcats. They weren't in Sonny Carson's movie, The Education of Sonny Carson, because of some gang politics. But anyway,
right.
My pops, once the 5% lessons hit the streets of New York, many of them started to fade away from the gangs, even though they were still engaged to some degree. My father decided that he was going to work and provide for his family and take care of the home. Well, the cops come grab him up one morning on his way to work. He gets 3 years. They knew he didn't do it. He was just a target. The prosecutors knew that he didn't do it. The judge knew. They knew the person that did the crime that they blamed my father for. The streets knew. Everybody knew. My pops knew. Obviously, he didn't tell. And he got 3 years. That messed up the course and the trajectory of his life. He became angry and bitter. Next thing you know, his body's dropping in Brooklyn after that 3 years when he comes home. Like the decisions of the United States of America and its private citizens, who are in fact white supremacists, who are the descendants of white supremacy, the descendants, they are generational, affected my father's life. So I can hold up a picture of my father and myself while my pops is in States Greens.
And how did that affect your life and your brother's life and your sister?
That's right.
Come on.
That's right. It did, because I think about what happens if my father was there in my life, right? I could have been anything. You know, my aunt used to tell me, she used to be like, you were so smart when you were a child. I just wanted to adopt you. I wanted to just bring you and raise you myself, my father's mother, right? So we don't know how it affected my life. I could have been anything other than the street dude that I was. Anything. I could have been a lawyer, a judge, a doctor. Hell, I played basketball pretty decently. What would have happened if I would have went to college and got college coaching? I could have been an NBA player. I played baseball well. I could have been I played football well. In fact, I was all African American out this piece. There wasn't no sport that I couldn't do well once I learned the basics and fundamentals of it. So that definitely affected my life. It definitely did.
Come on.
You know, so and this is why we got to make sure that we have real people on these panels as well. You know, we need our economists and things like that. But here's a picture of me. I'm about 5, 6 years old going to visit my pops. That's my sweet old grandma right there. Shout out to my grandma. Right? I'm going to visit my pops. He's locked up for something that he didn't do, for something that he did not do. And I got to go visit him behind the wall for 3 years. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, this is crazy. We could use anecdotes, but if I could use my anecdote to shoot back, then I'll use it. Other than that, like let's just get to the numbers. Let's get to the historical accuracy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Come on. We got family on. We got family on. What up, Dawn? What up, Cynthia?
What up? What's up, brothers? How y'all doing?
All is well.
That's interesting that you're talking about that story about going to see your father behind walls. I used to do that too, but I was going to a mental institution.
Your feedback is coming through a little choppy, Dawn. She put in a private chat, bad audio feed.
My father got caught.
Yeah, Sister Dawn, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Yeah,
I cutting out?
Yeah, you're cutting out.
All right, y'all. I might have to hop out. I think there's something.
No, you sound good now.
Yeah, once you unmuted and muted back in, you're good.
Okay. But yeah, I was just talking about how I had a similar situation in terms of the mental health care system. And when also, my father was behind bars, and, they dealt with mental health system through the criminal justice system. And because of depression, and ultimately, whether it was an accurate diagnosis or not, a condition that ultimately through the jail system and then into institutions that they had back in those days, and then ultimately shock therapy, just experimenting on them like a guinea pig. It was fascinating. But just, yeah, it is crazy. And I didn't even think about it. And that's like, we talk about this trauma and we just like subvert everything. It wasn't until you said that it made me think about, wow, I used to go visit my father, when he'd go in or go to college, as my nana used to call it, when they put him away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to be clear. I'm gonna bring up Sister Cynthia's picture, but this hearing was to add the opinions of more opinions, I guess we could say, from both sides. There's what we need is a markup session, et cetera, and we need Dr. Darity's edits. Like, we need those edits in the bill. I listened today. I listened very carefully. I listened to Cam Howard, and at times he made the case, right? At times, but the devil is in the detail. And when you read their platform, it doesn't comport with a specific reparations claims for the descendants of freedmen in the United States of America. So let me pull up Sister Cynthia's pick as well.
Yes, peace, people. Okay, so never mind the stature. I'm a lot healthier now. Anyway.
you good either way, sis.
Thank you. The person I'm standing with, that's my father. So since Burgess, Representative Owens wanted to bring up, people's dads, I wanted to bring up mine. My father was a veteran. He served 8 years in the United States Navy. 3 years of that was fighting in Korea. Another part of that, he served in Cuba. My dad discharged honorably. My parents went to try to purchase a home in the late 60s. And the first thing that my father tried to do was use the GI Bill in order for him to get, the benefit as far as like being able to get a VA loan. And he was denied and never told why. So when I hear, these fallacious arguments coming from Representative Owens about my dad made it despite of, the issue is not necessarily that he made it. It's the despite of.
That's right,
Cynthia. We had artificial barriers that have been placed in this country against African Americans for centuries. And you still have a smaller portion of the population that have made it. But the thing about it is, it always has to be like a started from the bottom, now I'm here story.
Right.
That should never have to be the case.
Exactly.
That should never have to be the case. And I'd be like, just think about if we didn't even have those particular barriers that were in our particular way, in order for us to get to one area to another. A lot of these conversations that we had of why aren't Black people doing better? Why are Black people virtually wealthless? Why are Black people so poor? Et cetera, that would not be as deep of a conversation if it wasn't for slavery and Jim Crow. And we know that to be the case. And so,
perfect.
Go ahead, Dawn.
A perfect example this morning, I was on a call. I decided, okay, let me check out this historically underutilized business certification that you can get for North Carolina. Let me see what this is about. I get on the call and they're talking about how 10% is set aside, for these HUB, and they're telling you the ins and outs, and people ask questions. And so this man comes on and he's like, so if you're a majority owned business, are you also able to have access to this? And the answer was yes, if you're disabled or whatever. So just right there, Elder was on the call, and, during his testimony, of course, speaking to the fact that the country has spent $22 billion in affirmative action. The problem is we aren't the ones accessing it. We were at the outset. We were uber successful. And what happens when Black people are successful? Policies are changed.
That's
and
right.
that's what happened. They
Very
widened
true.
the net. It went from
That's
a
right.
specific program to now anyone who is disabled or or historically who can call
Women.
themselves
White
yes,
women, yeah.
exactly.
White women, yes.
And even I want to think that that's in the past and not as prevalent. But this was this morning on an 11 o'clock call, and I'm in the chat. I said, this is exactly an example of how Black pain is used to benefit other groups, and why. And I know that they're wonder where these questions are coming from. And then I left the call, of course, just disrupt, go. But the point is, that's the reason we're not getting these programs. They're being started in our name, continued in our name, but we are not the ones getting any kind of the benefits. So then they're able to hold, opponents of these types of programs are able, like Larry Elder, are able to hold them up and say, see, they don't work.
Speaking
See,
of
still
Elder,
doing badly. That's because he doesn't know policy. And like you're saying, we need to tie it back to the policy. Like you said, Lord Abba, get away from the emotion and get back to those facts, and that'll undercut that coonery immediately.
Let's get to Larry Elder. And Josh, I want you to be the first one to chime in on this, because this is the setup to his testimony today. So let's this guy's he looks like he wears a cone mask to sleep. You know how they put the thing over their eyes to block out the sunlight? He just looks like he wears one of those to sleep. He's just proud. Oh man, matter of fact, let me stop this. I have to share audio. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, his whole face is just disturbing. He didn't even look real. He looked like a caricature of a coon.
That's right.
I know.
That's somebody tried
a chemical face peel.
A bleached coon. Let's hear what this bleached coon has to say.
Morning, Road Ragers. This morning I'll be testifying before Congress on the issue of reparations. I'll be opposing them. Reparations. Think about it. Reparations is the extraction of money from people who were never slave owners to be given to people who were never slaves. Only about 5% of white Americans have any sort of generational connection to slavery, which ended 156 years ago. When we paid reparations to people in the past, as when the Japanese received reparations for being put in relocation camps, the money was paid to them, victims themselves, or to their legal heirs. Slavery ended 156 years ago. It is just too long ago. And by the way, someone like Obama, whose mother, her family owned slaves, and his father lived in Kenya, an area of active slave trading, does Obama get a check or does he cut a check? And some years ago, Obama was asked about reparations, and he said it would be too divisive, politically impossible in our country. Guess what? Obama was right. Morning, Road Ragers.
He's like, I love being a coon.
I know.
I love it.
I know. Let me get to my minstrel show. That's
this dude is bugged out. So brother Josh, what are your thoughts on hearing that, brother? Josh done dropped off. Josh and Dawn dropped off.
Okay, here they are. They came back.
Okay, yeah, I got a lot to say about that. First off, if he's saying that, it's just too much coonery and buffoonery on that. But I gotta say, just listening to them dudes just boils my blood. It boils my blood because, like, when we know this is already reparations are already going to be an uphill battle, just against obviously against white America, and obviously against white racists, and obviously against those people who don't think they're racist, and obviously against those people who are outside of either group, right? Who just don't understand and don't have enough information. But it's also and then it's also a fight against the group of us that actually want reparations, but disagree on a lot of what that means. So why in the world do we still have to fight against people who are like bleach brain, who have been weaponized for their own individual uplift, you know what I'm saying, instead of the collective uplift, to be weaponized against us to try to neutralize us and discredit us and yes, massa us,
Mm-hmm.
But I was to speak specifically, reparations is not going to come from people who were never enslaved. It's people who never enslaved anybody. Reparations is, in terms of the federal bill, is coming from the United States Treasury. It's not. We're not talking
That's
about
right.
making you got to debit your account and put it in my account. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about your dollars from taxation. It's going to be a tax that's going to go directly from your income or your wealth, and then it's going to come and be refunded to I'm gonna get a check from the IRS. That's not how it's going to work.
Right.
That's not how it's going to work.
Did you notice?
It's going to work the same way that the COVID-19 payout worked.
Yes.
It's going to work, the same way the Japanese Americans got their payout. Nobody had to raise no taxes for that.
Right.
The Japanese American that was on the panel, she actually said it. I don't know if they caught it or not, but she said it. She said it's going to come from the Treasury.
Right. Like every plan ever from the federal government does in life. Like, what kills me with these really bad, fallacious, untrue arguments is that when they talk about anything to do with federal policy, especially when it comes to reparations, it's all like, you're punishing people who never had anything to do with slavery. And I said, it has nothing to do with these people, because the thing about it is if you put in legislation for reparations, it's not like an individual's personal paycheck is going to be affected. The same taxes that you were paying previously is the same ones you're going to be paying now. And the only thing that, and also too, this really bad argument that, the government is solely funded by taxes is also incorrect as well. It's part of income for taxes, and also what they borrow, and what the federal government decides to budget their money on is completely up to the federal government. That is not decided by what they bring in by taxes. So again, these are bad arguments. And then he even talked about the Japanese when it came to them receiving reparations. He said that it went to the to either who was harmed or their direct heirs. We are the heirs of slaves.
Right. He said legal heirs. Like, I don't know what the fuck is legal heirs.
Right,
what is that shit?
No, Let me say something real quick. This is something I said to y'all, I think it was either earlier today or yesterday. But why does everybody think that just because you're not a descendant of a slave owner, I'm not a descendant of a slave owner, so no person alive exists that enslaved anybody. But guess what? There's a whole lot of people alive that were a part of lynch mobs. It was a whole lot of people alive that were Klan members. There was a whole lot of people alive that were, and a lot of these people, and then they said, well, my family was immigrants. Yeah. Maybe you came to America in the 1800s, the 1800s, early 1900s, or whatever the case may be, and you didn't. People. Yeah, you didn't. You came after slavery, but did you come and join the Ku Klux Klan? Did you come and join some of these other fraternal orders that was lynching us and burning us? Did you come and join the police the police force so you can extort black people and murder us with impunity? Were you a part of any of that? Were you a part of any of the systems that designed and instituted policies, the red line, that did all of the things that were terrible? Did you have us? Were you a part of peonage? You know.
Mm.
And let me pull something up real quick, because these people are crazy, man. First, he said something like only 4% of whites today have ancestry that traces back to the times of slavery. Now, we don't know how true that is. Right?
That ain't true. That ain't true.
We can guess. We can guess that it's not true, right? Because we're not looking at the numbers, but it's safe to say that it's not true. The second point is the amount of immigrants who have come over here, since the late 1800s, since early 1900s, those that passed through Ellis Islands. Then we get to the 65 Immigration Acts, et cetera, right? That's one argument that we can just beat out the frame. It's a non-argument, actually. This is why you need professionals on the panel. Otis, I gotta pull up a comment. I want to pull up two things, but one of them is this comment by Otis. Shout out to the OG Otis. He said, I don't think it's a stretch. He said, I don't think it's a stretch to say that the GOP had a much more coordinated approach to this than the supposed pro-reparationists did. The Louisiana congressman deferred to his lackeys repeatedly. I kept peeping that. He kept referring to the coons. Like, I got my good boys here.
Bro,
let me pat each one on the head.
Like I said,
get them to say what I want to say without getting in trouble.
Right.
Thank you.
The idea is to have black people arguing against it and then black people arguing with each other. And in this particular instance, all three of those dudes were native black Americans. Now, one of them was a black immigrant. So if we can get native black Americans to argue against reparations and get somebody like a Larry Elder to come spitting it like it's fire, man, come on.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
Go ahead,
let me show. Well, let me show this real quick. I gotta show this. Let's blow it up. Right? Reparations is not going to come from tax money. It's going to come from the U.S. Treasury, like the Japanese woman said. And how is it that we got a large group of Japanese Americans supporting reparations, and then we got coons like Larry Elder and Burgess Owens and Herschel Walker and the rest of these guys? But let's that's right. Let's run through this chart, and I'm gonna open it back up. I want to run through this. Let's blow this up so everybody can see it. How much foreign aid the world receives from the United States, U.S. foreign aid by country. The biggest recipient of U.S. foreign aid, let's just say this is U.S. tax dollars. Let's just say, being that this is the argument that many of them try to run to, right? That people came over here, now they're paying taxes. They shouldn't be responsible for paying into a reparations program that their ancestors had no part of at all. So then how is it that most of these largely Islamic countries, Lord, look at that, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Egypt, Syria, Yemen, right? If I'm not mistaken, Kenya and Nigeria have large Islamic populations as well. Morocco, Zambia. I mean, Morocco is Islamic. I'm focusing on the Islamic states. Yemen. Let's see who else we got here. It's a bunch of them. It's just a bunch of them. Most of these are Islamic. Yeah, Pakistan. Most of these are Islamic countries.
Sudan,
right? Most of these are Islamic countries.
Yeah.
The whites of America abhor Islam. I want you all to take into consideration the frame of thinking that goes into the fact that the white supremacists and their coons, their lackeys, will ignore the fact that the United States gives away this amount of money per year. I think it's per year. I don't know if this is per year. Let me go back up. Per budget.
Yeah, it's annual.
It's annual, right? So, okay, this is trillions. When it's at, look at that. Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon, Israel. Israel ain't an Islamic country. You know they getting bread from America. Like, just to point out the Islamic countries, think of how racist you got to be to say, yeah, I don't care that Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Morocco, Yemen, Egypt, Pakistan, Afghanistan, who gets the most, etc., gets money from the United States of America. Although I can't stand Islam,
tax dollars,
dollars,
and we're not saying that these are tax dollars, but for the sake of these people's argument
of their argument.
Yes,
that's right. That's right. So,
can I point out that all of these countries have executive orders in place? I'm just saying. In the Asian American Pacific Islander Economic Empowerment Act that I would like to duplicate for our community is in place, and it affords for all of these Asian countries, Guam, and some of these others, to get trade deals. So money flows through this, like monies flow through those executive orders. That's where the honey is. And they be going all along. This is all done over steak dinners.
Craziness, man.
And they tell us, no, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Have a study.
Right.
But
Study.
but the thing about it is that no one is pulling themselves up by their bootstraps.
Nobody.
Like,
come on, Cynthia.
Literally,
yes,
nobody.
they are. That's not true. That's not true. All of you are.
Right. What little boots that I have. Right. What little boots that we have. But I'm just meaning, like, no one of that is even adjacent to wealth is comes with, bootstrapperism. I mean,
that's right.
Over 60% of wealth of millionaires specifically in the United States inherited their wealth. These are people who did not work for it.
That's right.
What about?
And they don't have to go to banks for capital. They can go to family and friends for their startup capital.
That's right.
Startup, right? Exactly. What did Trump say about his? Even though we found out that not to even be true when he said that, I wanted to start a business and I got a small loan from my father for just only $1 million. And I was like, I could fund my entire existence from here on out with $1 million, sir. What are you talking about? Most of us can, So, yeah, and that's why what even makes it more infuriating when I hear specifically Larry Elder make these really horrible, untrue arguments about, Black people just don't work hard enough. They don't work as hard as like the next person, like a Japanese American or a Chinese American or a Hispanic American. Like we don't put in the work in order for us to be able to be successful. And that's the reason why we're at the bottom. And you notice when he was even making those particular arguments, he had no data to back up what he was saying.
Yeah, he want to say crazy stuff like, "Well, we the people with the highest self-esteem,"
Yeah. I was like, what is that?
That's a lie.
I said, sir, where is your data to back up this particular claim?
Hey, let me say real quick, I gotta put the disclaimer out there that this is a study. I mean, was a hearing, excuse me, and all sides of the arguments had to be heard so that when they're eventually, hopefully, form the commission, then those arguments can be fleshed out and they will be destroyed. But if we don't get economists like Dr. Darity on there, and we just have activists like a Cam Howard who has this diasporic approach to reparations, I don't know where this thing is going to go, man. Not only can look. Let me pull this comment back up. Universal Mike said, "Coons need consequences. Until then, they will be the tire spikes on the road to reparations." Now, that's an excellent comment, right? But groups like Cobra and Narc can also be the tire spikes.
True.
Right? See, the coons, they're the tire spikes once we get the car rolling. They throw them out right there, like, no, don't let them go nowhere. Narc and Cobra, they the tire spikes once you get this thing moving along, and they're trying to add everybody and using terms like African as opposed to American. You don't realize how much you're taking away from the claim.
Fam, you need to pull up the 10-point reparations plan from Narcan and Cobra.
It's bullshit.
It is absolute bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. And I'm still wanting to ask any member of Narcan and Cobra, Dr. Daniels, Cam Howard, how in the fuck is a Maiafa statue going to close the racial wealth gap?
Yeah. That is. I read through in Cobra and Narc's little 10-point plan because I've been going back and forth with in Cobra on Twitter for about 2 weeks now. Just bashing their damn skull to oblivion. But that 10-point plan is essential because they basically are lining themselves with CARICOM to kind of bring in the shoehorn in CARICOM into the claim.
They mentioned them today. They mentioned them.
Yeah, sure did mention it.
And it's important that we pay attention to those little nuances and those little side offs. That's why I'm not in favor of HR 40 as it's written. And I know some people disagree with. Well, we should wait. Yeah, well,
They weren't trying to put you on glasses.
I wasn't trying to put you on glasses.
This is perfect. No, we can have a nice rational
we can have a discussion about it.
Well, and see, that's why, Don, I am not in favor of HR 40 as it's written because of what we just saw from these people who are on this commission. I would say that the Japanese woman, she made the claim for reparations better than the black people that were on the panel.
Come on, brother. Come on.
That's a fact. I mean, because she sat on the commission for the Japanese reparations, so she understood she understands it. So now you got Larry Elder up there. And we it was no secret. We knew that the Republicans were going to find some bootlicks to come up there, and they got another athlete like Burgess Owens is now a congressman, and back in 2019 he was opposed to it. So now you bring Herschel Walker dumbass in there, and he seemed. It started off and he was saying one thing, and then towards the middle it seemed like he got confused. And well, maybe I need to be a supporter of reparations because it seemed like. It was dumb, and being a Georgia native, Herschel Walker as a football player is beloved in the state of Georgia. He's beloved in the state of Georgia, but as a football player, that is all he's known for.
Right.
The black community in Georgia is known as being a Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Georgia. We know, but we also know that he's a damn coon. And his damn son is a fucking coon. And so it only made sense that you have two coons coming to a reparation discussion to say that we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. And I wish they had somebody that could have challenged Herschel Walker and been like, had you not been a battering ram in high school and been this athlete, this 6'3", 240-pound battering ram for the University of Georgia, had you not been that big and that fast and that dominant, would you have been able to get accepted into the University of Georgia based on your education?
That's right.
And we all know the answer is no, because he was
no. The answer is hell no.
He was a Prop 48.
He'll be in front of 7-Eleven with the rest of the brothers. He'll be right there in front of 7-Eleven.
Yeah, he was a Prop 48. He was a Prop 48 athlete. And then anybody that doesn't know what Prop 48 was,
Well, that meant that these schools could go to Black communities and go get these athletes and get them in based on a technicality through the clearinghouse and get them accepted into these white institutions to play football. And that was the only reason he was at University of Georgia. He almost failed out of damn school. He almost quit. He almost quit school because he couldn't keep up, and he almost failed out of school. So it was because of his football problem. So his whole life has been predicated on him being a football player. And so when you bring these people in, and I end it with this, when you bring in athletes, Black entertainers, Black media people who have benefited from provisional entry into white institutions, and I see Otis just said it. When they get the provisional acceptance into these institutions, they essentially accept the fact that, hey, if I'm an athlete, so I've been able to make it out of my condition, everybody else should have the same thing. And that's the problem with the Black community, because that's the only way.
That's the problem with them coons.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is, for the longest, unless you had a wicked jump shot,
or you
run down the field,
that's
that was the only way that Black people had an opportunity to get into a wealth class that provide for generational wealth. So everybody else who's not an athlete, who doesn't have these God gifted talents, we supposed to damn try to figure it out. But we're looking at, most Black folks, we're looking at through the lens of these athletes and these entertainers. So that's why you have a bunch of young Black men want to be rappers and all this other stuff.
Right.
And they can aspire to be a Dr. Darity or a a politician, because the only thing they know is sports or entertainment. And then they go to these spaces and talk, and they sound ignorant. And it was apparent today that Herschel Walker didn't know what the hell he was talking about.
That dude was.
I'm interested to know what kind of criteria they use for picking who gets to, and I'm sure we could probably find that out. Cronyism. I don't know if that's necessarily it, and I'm going to say in general, I was pleased with the way that the hearing went, and I think they just showed me the arguments or the quote unquote arguments from Elder and Walker are so weak. And just, they can't stand up to any of the data. And there's basically like about three things they're going to say. No one's alive that was alive then. How are we going to pay for it? We can't pay for it. The same questions that we have, thanks to Dr. Darity's book, clap back for each and every one of those. And so you're only going to be able to hear that so many times, which for all America will be able to answer back, which is another reason why I like the idea of these hearings, because you do have to educate people. And as I listened to Elder and Walker, I also thought of, what if we were in a commission setting and everyone in the room was being forced to listen to slave narratives? And then you think that those people are really going to say, yes, immigrants who got here in the 50s, yeah, we're going to give them a check. That's why I have no fear whatsoever, given that Republican support is needed of any reparations legislation when it comes. Larry Elder, bless his heart, Burgess, bless his heart. You think they're going to, they say, okay, fine, we'll let you Negroes get a check, but guess what? You think they're going to let Black immigrants get reparations? Really? That's why I was like, yeah, that's right. Y'all get on my nerves, but I know what? If you got to compromise, I bet you're going to say, okay, well, we're going to cut a check with those people over there, those Black people who are not Americans, card-carrying Americans. They're not, and I'm going to be like, yeah, it all is going to work out. But what I saw, though, is that what they're going to do, I would hope, is, they have these hearings, and let's hope they schedule a markup in the coming weeks, and that perhaps all of the edits will in some way make it into it. And at the beginning of the hearing, Cohen announced that you could actually send documents during hearing. So we need to know that. That's a new lesson for us. Anytime a hearing is going on, apparently, you can send documents to judiciarydocs@mail.house.gov, and they have to distribute it to the committee members during the hearing.
I sent
But
about
guess
10
what
articles.
we were doing? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Because
I
we
sent
were
about
all
10
on
articles.
point.
Yeah,
Yep.
as soon as you shared that email, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Let me get my
That's
articles
right.
together. Let me get my
Hey,
charts
I'm
together.
laughing at what I have up on the screen.
What is that?
Facts founding.
Facts founding.
Yeah,
I was like, this dude is
He
talking
can't help
about
it.
education.
I know, right?
And he's
Ironic.
and can't even say fact finding.
Sure
Fact
couldn't.
finding.
I thought he said funds founding. List got into the way. You know, this kind of reminds me of, you know, Malcolm X warning against elevating celebrities as leaders.
Yup.
You
And
know,
let me also say, I sent some edits. This time I framed them as recommendations for the commission, because I'd like for us to start thinking as if we're going to win, as opposed to, you know, just assuming we're going to lose and that Cobra is all powerful. And that we should, as one of the recommendations for the commission, that we restrict or keep seats from any social media, celebrities, or sports entertainers. They cannot be on the commission. And the other thing that I think that might assuage some people's fears about the possibility of, you know, people enriching themselves is that we enforce, and it should be in general, and it's, you know, like a conflict. You have to file disclosures that list your security holdings, your ownership interests, personal and business relationships that might be in conflict with any potential findings of the commission. And that's what you call an administrative provision that they might accept that edit. You never know.
One of the other edits that I really need to happen is those 6 seats that's supposed to be to legacy reparation or organizations be rescinded. All seats should go to, you know, people who are authorities in their particular field. Because, like, even though, as much as I am a reparationist, I know a lot about public health, but I'm not qualified to sit on a commission like that in order for me to be able to give proper recommendations for an entire group of people. You know, those commission seats should be strictly for people who, again, are authorities in their field, who have studied this particular issue for a very long time, and who are able to actually give proper recommendations on what a reparations program should look like. You know, like, it's cool that you like a Cam Howard. Like, it's cool that I remember being in a town hall with him, and he was working on a local reparations resolution in the city of Chicago. And one of the big sponsors of that resolution was Willie Wilson. And he touted on how he's been working on something like this for over 13 years. And I'm like, well, brother, bless your efforts, but you don't need to be on the commission. And you know, and as much as you're read and you know a lot about even Black business and history, and no one is taking that away from you, but you know, when it comes to actually making proper recommendations, we need the proper people to be sitting in those seats so that we can have a holistic program to be wrought for the American descendants of chattel slavery.
I also think, you know, kind of piggyback on what you just said. I also think that, you know, when it comes to these commissions, these are the people that are going to be representing us for recommendations for reparations. You know, and we can't have people on a commission who have already preconceived notions of who they're trying to bring into a justice plan. Because I think it really, it kind of, you know, if we had the NAACP in there, well, we heard what the NAACP said, you know, and most of us are members of NAACP. I'm a legacy NAACP member. You know, been in the NAACP since I was 16 years old, and I don't think that Derek Johnson is the right person to represent the NAACP if they are a part of it, because what he has shown is that his ability and what he thinks is right is not right. And you know, a lot of times in these big organizations like this, the local chapters don't have any say in what goes on at the national level. So it's just like you know, him filing a lawsuit against Trump. Like that's a waste of time. And you know, and in my local chapter, I expressed that to the local chapter to my local chapter last night. Like, this is ridiculous. This is the absolute. This is BS in my eyes, because it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And you send out here, you sending out these mailers trying to get people to donate to this, and this is not moving us any closer. This going after Trump legally is doing what to close the racial wealth gap. Right. The NAACP, and you know, I always say that if you look at the word color, right? You look at the word color in the NAACP, we think of black folks. Well, if you read the mission of the NAACP, the mission is for all color people. So now you got Latinos, you got, if you go to some of the big time commissions and departments inside the NAACP, you're not going to see black folks. You're going to see white people there. You're going to see Asians there. You're going to see Latinos on these things. So now the whole mission of the NAACP is all lives matter. Right. So as how can you be a expert to talk about reparations when you want to bring everybody in? So they need to be done. The Urban League, completely worthless. And the Urban League is is probably worse off than the NAACP is, because of the way that Mark Morial and his $1 million a year salary has it structured. They do absolutely nothing to support black businesses and black business development. So you get them on the commission, then there's going to be a bunch of programs. We got enough programs in the black community. We got enough social programs. We got enough educational programs. We got enough. We got committees and all this other stuff in the black community, but for years and years and years. We don't need no more committees. We don't need no more resources getting thrown into education and all that other stuff if financial repair is not the forefront. So if we're not talking about cash going into the hands.
Wait, hold on, Dawn. Wait, hold on, brother Mark. Brother Josh has an announcement real quick.
What? Yeah, so I wanted to announce that
we got reparations. Yay! Oh.
All right, yeah. I wanted to announce that we're on our program. We're going to hold the People's HR 40 hearing, and we want to invite all of you guys to participate. We want to do it in the next week or so. Because I feel like the way it's set up to where that hearing happened, they got to decide who they wanted to speak on the bill. They got to decide. When I say they, I'm talking about on both sides, Democrats and Republicans. But those people, a lot of us either didn't know or don't know about, and maybe felt that they didn't really represent the issues that we needed to be represented, and they weren't able to speak to the issues and properly get rid of the misinformation. And so what we will like on our people's hearing will be another good mix of perspectives, but we're going to have the right people speaking. So I'm down if you want to get some white racists and closet racists and white liberal all lives matterists and people from other different groups. You're going to have your Pan-Africanists, you want to have your coons, but we're going to, guess what? We're going to have some real descendants of freedmen reparationists on there. All right. So I want to have people from around the country that can speak to a myriad of different issues from different perspectives. But I think this will be a great idea. And, you know, it's one person in particular that was not on there today that I would love to hear on on the People's HR 40 hearing. Can y'all think of that person? I don't know. Maybe we thinking of the same person.
I'm thinking of same person. I'm thinking of a nice little beach. That's Sandy.
And let me say real quick too, man. You know, unity. Let me go back to that King quote. Uniformity is not a requisite for unity. Many of us have our ideas that we feel should be implemented, and to a large extent, that's fine, right? And so long as it progresses not just the greater good, but the goal, which is reparations itself. I don't think that we should tear ourselves apart from each other. You know, we have instances where some people might not rock with some other people. They don't like this person. They don't like that person. But I said this before. It's a lot of them politicians that don't like each other. There's some of them that can't stand each other, actually, but they get together at times to pass bipartisan legislation. And the Democratic Party, the corporate Democrats don't like the socialist Democrats. They don't like each other at all. But when it comes to party line issues, they stand arm in arm. We have to do the same. You got some people that kind of want to fall back from the fight. We in a fight. We are in a fight right now. Like it's time to get your hands dirty. This is the time to get your hands dirty, because this may be the only opportunity that we get. They're sending coons, and the coons are basically there to muddy things up so that if it fails and we try again, the powers that be can say, look, we've tried that already, and the results came back as this, and the results came back as that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have to really form coalitions. So some people might not want to rock with other people. All right, cool. But if you have a group, then we should make sure that there's a round table, that every group gets to sit down, share ideas, and show that regardless of the things that we are indifferent about, we are here to move together for the ultimate goal. Because without reparations, how do we survive in the United States of America going forward? How?
Exactly.
Maybe we need some
and I
treaties
want
or
to
something.
challenge everyone to, think about the greater good and what that really, really means. I don't know if we're ready to really get honest. I'm usually a little too fast on that, but I'll just go back and say that I think that what Lord Alba is kind of alluding to is having to form coalitions, like a Pan-Africanist, descendants of chattel slave type of alliance in order to move this HR 40 ball forward. I think it's a true disservice for us to think that the reasons that any of us have, and I'm saying that's based on the current form, to think that I just don't think that any of our edits at this point, based on what it looks like, are sufficient enough to say let's that this thing should go away. I think that we should continue to participate like we have today, and I don't think that we have actually optimized the level of engagement with this process, and that we've kind of been spinning our wheels kind of on some emotional thing that was being gaslit around Ncobra's actions. I think if you were to replace Ncobra with ADOS, we would have done everything that they've done. I think we would have done the same thing. I think it took them 30 years for things to become positioned to where they could make the edits that they made at the end of the 2017-2018 Congress, and then they introduced it in 2019. But the edits, the way it reads right now, I think, are sufficient. And what we're really talking about is a study.
All right, wait, hold on. Let me.
But I also want to say, And the people, the commissioners, these commissioners are also like watchdogs as well. And you're going to have a commission of people, and they are going to be presented with proposals. And they're going to be required to evaluate these proposals. And the money that's in that bill is so that they can compile data, prepare the reports, also to educate. We want this stuff to be streamed. We want to be able to send in evidence while they're having these commissions going on. We want dramatic, televised, drawn out commissions. I think that's a good thing. And then when we get to that point of the check, it's a no-brainer.
Look, I want to pick your brain then on because I've seen your position. I can't say that I wholly agree with it. I understand it. One of the things that I try to do is that even when I disagree with something, I try to have some understand. Like right now, for instance, I'm reading this book. This book is powerful. The Devil You Know by Charles M. Blow. There are things that I disagree with, but his strategy is so powerful, and it may be impractical, but it's powerful enough to garner my attention, and it brings me to this level of understanding. Okay, I understand why he's saying what he's saying. So even with your position, Dawn, I understand why you're saying what you're saying. So my question to you is, are you saying that because you said it was sufficient enough, and I disagree, right? But that's according to my understanding. Are you saying that the way the bill is now, let's just let it go through, and all of the necessary changes that's needed will be made via the commission? For example, one of the things that NARC is trying to set up, and this is not an HR 40, is some form of Ma'afa savings and trust, I guess. That's what we'll call it, the Ma'afa Savings and Trust Company, where they want to get the reparations money and be responsible for who they mete out that reparations monies to. So we know that that's just not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen.
Yeah, that's fantastical.
So are you saying that we should just let it go and then deal with the things that we contend with once, the commissions are formed, et cetera, and the subcommittees, et cetera?
I think that we need to get this process started, and that this is just the very beginning. And I want to say that we don't have just one shot. There's multiple ways that we can go after this claim, and we want to maximize all of them. I feel like I understand why in Cobra and the CVC are working together like they are with CARICOM. I believe that there was a time and a place where they were all sitting at a table, and CARICOM, which had formed a precursor to Cobra, said, we have this plan. And the people here in the United States said, yeah, we want to do that too. And then Pan-Africanism was, yeah, everybody in the diaspora is owed money, but not necessarily from the United States. But hey, let's use HR 40 in a Pan-Africanistic way and let the United States fund making the case for the entire diaspora. The pre-1776 period will identify all the culpable parties and countries, and know the people who, some people will go to France, others will go to Britain. I think that there's nothing but we will only gain by gathering more data. It does not dilute our claim. It probably adds to it, because if you're looking at just imagine looking at just 89 years compared to 256, for instance. But I feel like the commission, the way it reads now, to me, it's speaking about us. We're the only ones that went through slavery, redlining, Jim Crow. It's very specific about that.
Yeah, but
so then also,
yeah, wait, hold on.
and I just want to say, but we said specific enough. No, you asked me if it was specific enough.
Okay. Specific
Yeah,
enough.
no, yeah,
I'm gonna give you that one. I'm gonna give you
exactly,
that one.
because that's where we have the issue. That's where we have the issue, but the even bigger issue is that issue of math. So if you have, I say to all of you, are you willing to sacrifice 95% of us? I mean, at the end of the day, when we bring it all home and there's $100 to split up, are you really going to deny 80%? No, are you really going to deny 80% to keep 20% from getting broken? Are you going to deny 95%, which is probably more like it? Let me just finish my question. Are you going to deny 95% to be right, to be just, to feel self-righteous, justified? I kept those foreigners from getting whatever. Is that what it's about? And if I say if that is it, if you're willing to do that, we're definitely not on the same side. But if we're here trying to make this case for everybody and say, here's yours part of the study, you take this, you go to Britain. That's why they say, I feel like they're saying everybody in the diaspora deserves reparations, but they're not getting it. But they don't say from the United States. And that's not where it's going to come from, because the evidence, when they lay it all out, it's going to show, yes, France owes this group of people, England owes that group of people, the United States owes from 1776 to 2021. So my thing is
that's a long question, dog.
Right. We never.
That's a long question, dog.
Right, there was a lot that you said in that. So the first thing that I wanted to address is are you willing to die on this hill? Okay. Now, to answer that, let's go back to Dr. Darity's trial balloon, and how he got basically drugged because he was speaking, he was considering, if we kind of like did not do as stringent as concerning lineage, if we consider like people who were here pre-1950, as far as like still being a possible recipient of the reparations justice claim. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to actually read his response to his dragging. But yeah,
I read everything, all of them.
Cool. So one of the reasons why he was bringing up that particular trial balloon is because, and I think that one of the subcommittee panelists brought this up, that he was only able to go back to 1880 when it came to his lineage. He couldn't go back any further. And so, but it's quite obvious that even though his people has been here since before then, and more than likely he is a descendant of chattel slavery, it could be a problem as far as like him being able to produce documents that actually say that, yes, I am from slavery. I'm from slavery in the United States. So if we actually been a little bit more lenient on people who have been here at the height of Jim Crow, and be able to be part of the reparations claim, that would be a less stringent policy on descendants of chattel slavery, so that they can still take advantage of the reparations program, which I'm not completely against that. Yeah, actually, I'm not, and especially since
I'm tired of caring about that.
So, what I was going to say is that I don't necessarily have a big issue with that, only because, at least for one, I know that the descendants of chattel slavery will get their money, and then two, they won't have to go through as much red tape in order for that to be achieved, and then also three, if we're even talking about pre-1950 Black immigrants, that is such a small group. Remember, pre-1965, and the Smithsonian, the U.S. Smithsonian Institute actually corroborated this, that Black immigration was at the right of the decimal point. That wasn't even 1%. Okay, so so I don't necessarily have an issue with that, but but also
so what are we talking? Then I don't understand what we're. Yes, exactly. But people were willing to shut it down.
I'm not done. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to kind of address is the whole let the commission kind of duke it out type thing. So we know in any type of legislation, language matters. And we want to make sure that legislation in a bill is going to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. Now, in any type of legislation, especially if we're trying to get it to pass the House and the Senate to the president's desk, there's going to be some compromise on both sides. But one of the things that we want to make sure is that, when it comes to who is picked on the commission, who what type of issues are we looking at as far as what a reparations program looks like, and also if we have out in front the whole what the 10-point plan is for Narcan and Cobra, knowing that they're behind the edits, that should be definitely a red flag in something that needs to be addressed, especially if we know that them controlling a reparations trust is not going to close the racial wealth gap. It's just not. Another thing that I also want to talk about too, to your point, Dawn, concerning, let's get together with these other organizations like a CARICOM and things of that nature, so that we can get the commission together to study, like, okay, well, you take your claim to France, you take your claim, et cetera, et cetera. So the thing about it is that those organizations are already in place in order for them to do that, especially when it comes to CARICOM. I mean, CARICOM has, if they are an organization that has been in place before NCOBRA, and NCOBRA we know formed, I would believe, in 1987. And so they had 30 years of work or whatever. And then, and if CARICOM is very, already clear about who they are fighting for reparations for, that would be their fight as far as going after the culpable parties when it came to the slavery that happened in the Caribbean. And who they would go after. So they really don't need, the only thing that I would say that would be an effectual sticking point as far as like US reparations goes, is that it will set a standard as far as other reparations claims that would happen all over the world. We already know that the civil rights movement, specifically in the United States, was definitely an inspiration point for other groups and other countries to fight for rights in their particular areas, like a South Africa, like even Blacks that were suffering in the United Kingdom. I think specifically the.
I mean, everything you're saying is like leads me to believe you should support HR 40 going through.
I support HR 40 with edits. I support HR 40s with edits. And the reason being is because if we don't get the proper edits at when it comes to, and I'm not saying that all the 6 edits that are needs to be like the tiebreaker. I'm not saying that, because
but there are basically in there.
Well, wait a minute. But when it comes to the specificity of who we're talking about, as far as like enslaved people in from
that's
Africa,
like wanting to describe what the
hold on, y'all.
Even been born.
Hold on, Dawn. Let me say, in fairness, Sister Cynthia, it does sound like you agree with with what Dawn is saying to a large degree, from what I'm hearing.
For some of it.
Okay, all right.
The core element of it is like you want us to get a check. And you said that's the most important thing.
The overarching portion is yes, I want my people. Right. I say I want my people to get reparations because I know that reparations is what we need in order for us to survive in America, period. I know that. But I also know that in order for it needs to be done correctly. And I'm not saying that, and I do agree with you that there's several different avenues that we can go through locally and also statewide and federally in order for us to get policy that can be succinct specifically for us to actually, change position in America. But if we're talking specifically about reparations and specifically about this bill, it's wanting in still numerous ways, even after the edits. I'm glad that they put in the time period as far as like being able to present their findings after 12 months. Before it was in perpetuity, and that was not going to be good at all. Because the thing about it is
they listen to the edits. They listen to the edits.
They listen to a point. There's still more
compromise.
I understand all that, but there's some issues even in their compromise that has to be addressed in order for this bill to do exactly what we need.
Okay, so I got a question for the panel. If the edits are not addressed and if HR 40 dies tomorrow, is everybody good?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm good with it dying. And the reason why I'm good with it dying is
you don't need it. That's why.
It's not the fact that we don't need reparations. It's the fact that it's who is controlling the reparations conversation right now.
All right, I'm going to tell you why that's selfish. I'm going to tell you why that's selfish.
Everybody
loves Black Wall Street till it's time to build it. Then everybody's suspicious of Black people.
Hold on.
But we want Black Wall Street, but we don't want Black Wall Street.
All right, hold on. Let
Mark speak.
I'm full of shit.
Here is my issue. If we let the bill go as it is, if we allow HR 40 to just go through like it is, the commission is going to be set up in a way that NARC and NCOPRA can usher in their 10.
Wait, hold on, Dawn.
Don, can I speak? If we allow this bill to go through the way that it is right now, we know that NARC and NCOPRA have been in complete opposition to any edits, and they are the reason HR 40 is a actual resolution right now. It is their bill. It has been their bill, and they would tell you it's their bill. Ron Daniels himself said that he is fine with the way it is. Why? Because it gives the illusion that they have control over Sheila Jackson Lee. That is the number one problem, because when the bill was first introduced by John Conyers, it was NCOPRA who wrote the bill. So it is their bill. That's number one. Number two,
NARC, right?
NARC, NCOPRA, they're all intertwined. IB21, they're all intertwined with each other. It's the same people. They just got different little things inside of IB21 deals with the international section of it with CARICOM. NARC deals with a reparations coalition, and NCOPRA is the hub of all of it. That is, they're the mothership. So if we allow this to go through, then you're going to get people like Ron Daniels and Jam and everybody else who's with NCOPRA to usher in their 10-point plan. And we can't have that, because we don't need a reparations trust. We don't need somebody dictating to Black people how money that is designated for Black people is to be spent by Black people. And
that is so paternalistic. It's so paternalistic.
So specificity in legislation needs to be before the commission is established. If you go back and I implore anybody, if y'all want to go back and look at how the Civil Liberties Act came to be, go back and look at the actual wartime the wartime resolution that the Japanese Commission was based on, and what they were finding, what were they going after, and it tells you, they outlined in that act what exactly they were going to be looking for. It was repair the damage based upon the enslavement, the internment of Japanese. Right now, this HR 40, they kept saying in it, well, it's more than just cash. So if direct compensation is not attached to what they're going to be studying as a reparations proposal, then we can only expect that we're going to get more social programs, more funding for education, more funding for criminal justice.
I just think we should stick to fact of what's actually in the bill. And I wish someone would show me where NARC's 10-point plan is listed in this study bill. I said fact. I said where in the bill is NARC's 10-point plan stated that they are going to, please show me where it lists that NARC is going to staff those 6 seats. I know that they have shepherded the bill. That's what grassroots activists do. That's what ADOS would have done if we would have been in their place. We would have we did craft the bill. So we wish we were in their place. Let's just be honest about that. I mean, let's not hate on NCOBRA or a group that was here for doing whatever they thought was the best they knew how to do, and to form a national trust is not like a demonic thing. It might not be the best. It might not be the only solution, but the commission.
That is a demonic thing. And I don't even believe in the devil. But the thing about it is like that's kind of like if they're going to establish a trust for
I'm just saying, but you guys are conflating NCOBRA with the bill, and it's not in the bill, and it's not funny.
But the bill,
it's not in the bill
already. But the bill already has.
You're projecting into the future. Okay.
6 seats.
Yeah, why can't you be one of the seats? Why are you saying you wouldn't be on this one of these
organization?
We got too many people talking
go
over
ahead.
each other. Hold on.
Cobra, they said there was a seat at the table that ADOS could have a seat on the commission.
That's bullshit.
You might not be able to call yourself ADOS.
You know that's bullshit, and you know it. Let's go through the bill. If we
They didn't even want to invite Darity to
No, y'all don't have the full story.
I don't. I don't. Hold on.
A bunch of secondhand hearsay, and
I don't have the full story.
because they're not in the bill. We're talking about a piece of legislation, and y'all are talking about NARC's 10-point plan. You know what? NARC's 10-point plan is incomplete. Guess what? Why don't you provide some edits to NARC's 10-point plan? I'm sure they would welcome them.
They won't.
Hold on. Everybody, hold on.
Like that.
All right, hold on, Dawn. Hold on. Let me speak for a minute. I've read NARC's 10-point program. We broke it down on BTP. I don't want to edit NARC's 10-point program. I think on this issue, I could speak for the lot of us. We don't want NARC's 10-point program anywhere near this thing. None of it makes sense to me. None of it makes sense to me at all.
I'm just saying that our approach to them and how we're approaching them, this us versus them, that's all I'm saying is the approach. I'm not saying that, I want to pay immigrants reparation. I'm just saying I believe that our approach is less than sophisticated, and that I realized that no one had even been talking with anyone, and that there was a lot of misinformation being purposefully or lazily spread and repeated. And that's where I decided to pick up the phone.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Dawn. Are you privy to any conversations that NCOBRA and let's just say Dr. Darity may have had about this issue?
Yes, okay. I am.
Okay. So in that, do you believe that NARC and Cobra are willing to be inclusive when it comes to creating this commission?
Yes.
No.
I do.
No.
I don't think that it's going to be with the ADOS 2019 ADOS that they sent an invite, a welcoming letter. I don't think it's going to be with I don't think they're going to be inclusive with the ADOS of 2019 or 2018 when they sent the letter to Yvette welcoming them to the reparations fight. And Yvette promptly ignored their letter and then read it on TV, read it on her show and declared them the enemy, just like she did the other night. She's like, oh, they're trash. I mean, sure, you don't like them. That's cool. But they are
Yvette is trash. Yvette is trash. That's why nobody's going to work there.
She's non-sequitur. They are another grassroots organization. And it does look bad when you have supposedly two groups who say they want reparations, maybe in different forms, but it does look kind of bad when you're, be quiet. All right, I'm sorry. I don't do sheep well. I don't think well. And I just feel like I have insight into
Dawn, I will say this, as far as conversations that have happened between Cam Howard and Arthur Ward. I know about them.
Yeah,
and
I know.
they had a few conversations concerning the 10-point plan, concerning who would be the ones who are going to actually get reparations, and even and we're not even going to talk about how Arthur got kicked out of an Cobra meeting. And he didn't even say nothing. He got kicked out. He got kicked out of the Cobra. He got kicked out. Wait a minute.
Hold on, Dawn.
But wait a minute. I mean, but let's be clear. I mean, like, if okay, let me circle back. I am always a fan of civil discourse. And I would definitely say that
I am not.
Okay, I ain't gonna say nothing about that. But but the thing about it is that I understand that oftentimes, in order for any of us to be able to come to some type of meeting of the minds, disagreements are going to have to be laid out in front of the table. Okay, in order for us to kind of say, okay, we disagree on this and that and the third. However, we can meet right here, right? But the thing about it is, especially even when it comes to Narcan and Cobra, they had a what do you call that thing? We ain't talking to you, ADOS people.
Non-engagement policy.
Right. They had a non-engagement policy. So and I would definitely say that part of it was definitely some chair throwing. Some non-necessary chair throwing at Cobra, but I will also say concerning in Cobra as well, especially since they just kind of joined social media in 2019, and a lot of it is because of the picking up of the steam of the ADOS movement, that they started to do more of an engagement to anybody who even looked ADOS leaning and started throwing chairs too. Just because, and especially since a lot of us had, opposition at the way that HR 40 was written. And, and the problem with any of that is that now that they are of the mind here, and even if a lot of us are not necessarily messing with ADOS HQ per se, but we're still in this particular reparationist fight, that, it's going to be very difficult unless you mostly agree with this is the way that it's supposed to go for us to even have a conversation in this space. And the reason being is because I am of the mind, especially when it came to how some of these particular conversations happen, even when I sat through a town hall meeting and then all of a sudden we're talking about Puerto Rico and all this other stuff for something that was supposed to be happening in Chicago. And I was asking questions considering, why are we considering these particular places that I wasn't even part of the United States Union during slavery? And, and they got upset, you know what I'm saying? So that to me seems like this is going to be a very steep hill to actually climb specifically with this organization if we are not even like agreeing on who it is that reparations is even supposed to go to, let alone even actually working with, you know, a reparations plan that's going to, you know, actually be effective with closing the racial wealth gap.
Thank you, Avery.
Hey, I will say this.
That's Blacks Networking for Change.
Hold on. Brother Ali, did you want to say something?
I'm in the village where that butt boy is from.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I will say this. There has been engagement within Cobra and members of NARC and members of IB21 with people who are on this panel right now, right? I would say,
well, maybe they ain't like y'all.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Because I'm not gonna sit up there and shoehorn and be in some love fest with people who cannot decide that Black Americans who descend from chattel slavery are who this bill's supposed to be representing. If we can't even agree on,
I'm a known xenophobe. I've been marked in the press. So how is it that I'm cool with this?
Again, not senator.
Yeah. What we're talking about this commission, right? And you brought up the duties of the commission, right? So here are some of the duties, and I'm not gonna go through all of them because it's a bunch on there. But I just want to highlight what they're supposed to be talking about. They're supposed to be trying to get ways to figure out, examine the procurement of Africans, the transport of Africans to the United States and the colonies that became the United States for the purpose of enslavement, the sale and acquisition of Africans as chattel property, interstate and interstate commerce, the treatment of African slaves in the colonies in the United States, including the deprivation of their freedom, exploitation of their labor, and destruction of their cultural, language, religion, and family. And then they kind of go down into some more stuff. And then there is not one part on here that mentions Jim Crow at all.
I don't know where you're at, Mark. I think you're not reading the right version.
I got the bill pulled up right now.
I got it pulled up too. It says Jim Crow. I don't know what it is that you're reading.
Where is Jim Crow?
I don't know what you're reading.
Where is Jim Crow?
I really don't. And that's what I'm talking.
I'm looking at the bill right now.
I found one place where it has Jim Crow.
All right, so y'all gotta, you can't be like talking about they don't talk about compensation.
I found one
mention proposals for compensation.
Well,
okay, section 5, convict leasing, Jim Crow, redlining.
Okay, who is that? That's us. There's no one else.
No, because the language changed. Because up until that point, it was enslaved.
There are 3 separate periods of repair. There will be at least 3 separate reports that come out of this. There will be multiple pieces of legislation proposed. Not all of them will pass. That's what it's going to be like. They're going to try to throw everybody's claim in. I see it as, okay, once and for all, let's all the people of color we fucked over, let's take care of it, get all the dirt with HR 40, then parcel it all up. That's how I see it. I'm not threatened by this data dump. I welcome it. I welcome a long, drawn out hearing. And meanwhile, we'll probably be able to get a whole lot of shit done on the state level because of the press, you guys. This is a PR bonanza. We want this to go, and let's not forget, this is just to get it through out of the Judiciary Committee. It's not even going to the floor. We want the press. We need the headspace that we are going to get from this. Because even if we do this, then it has to go to the Senate. The Senate, we need like 75%, or we need a super majority. And y'all are talking about how much you check it. That is so far off. But it's like nobody wants us to even get started in this battle. I'm just saying we need this for other reasons. I'm saying strategically. I'm saying
that's not particularly the case, Dawn, though. It's not necessarily that, at least I'm not necessarily saying that, I just want all of this to particularly die. I just know that language matters when it comes to bills.
Exactly.
And if there's something, and I understand that there's going to be, earmark sessions when it comes to, what we want different monies to go for whatever program. I get all that. But if we're looking for specific things to happen, as far as like what we're looking for reparations, even when it comes to what this commission is, who this commission is and what it's supposed to accomplish, we need the proper information in the bill.
Well, we can't have people continuing to say we don't need another hearing, and we can't keep having people who are supposed to.
All right, let me jump in.
Maybe not you guys.
No, but let me jump in.
We have to welcome these sessions, even though we don't think they're necessary.
Let me jump in, and you know what, Dawn, I partially agree with you. Not even partially. I agree with you to a large extent on some of what you're saying, and this is why discourse is necessary. But I also agree with what Mark Stevenson is saying, and what Cynthia is saying, and what some of the people in the chat are saying, and this is why we have to have this type of discourse. This was supposed to be the discourse that we was going to have for the one live stream that Josh was talking about, as we went from talking about how horrible the Coons was acting on the commission today to now but in a way it's kind of good, because this thing is about us at the end of the day. One of the things that we can possibly get drawn up in the markup session is a waiver that guys like that will sign saying they don't want reparations. And we could distribute those directly from the government in some way and say, if you are a descendant of freedmen, slavery, whatever term, foundational black, whatever, and you feel that you should not receive reparations, please sign this waiver for yourself.
And send your money to me.
Exactly. I just feel that language matters. I agree with Cynthia. Language matters, and what we saw from this hearing, what we saw from the hearing today, people may know. If you listen to Nadler, if you listen to Sheila Jackson Lee, if you listen to Cohen, all of them said it's not just about cash, right? We know that. But damn it, cash has to be, direct compensation has to be central in any reparations proposal. Right? And it has to be that way. It has to be that way, particularly because the Japanese were able to get compensation for their damage. If we are just talking about social programs and all this other stuff, and that doesn't do anything to close the linear wealth gap. We know that. So Don, when you talk about Cobra, when you talk about these people, Cam Howard spoke with the people from Los Angeles, from the people from the formerly ADOS LA. He showed up in one of their damn Zoom calls, right? We've had talks with Wade Wimbush before.
Yeah, he showed up, and what happened? He showed up, I heard, and what happened?
I'm not going to disclose that because that
don't bring it up.
So I'm not going to discuss that.
Don't bring it up. I'll tell you what I talked to Cam about. This is not secret.
No, we talking about what he said. What happened on that call? What happened on that call? The same thing that happened with Wade Wimbush before he passed away, and the same thing.
I don't know anything. The audience doesn't know what you're talking about, though.
Okay, so there were people who, like myself, who went to Cobra's last conference. We went to the damn conference. We went to their conference in Detroit, right? And when we showed up, we got hit with hostility at first, but then they wanted to start talking. The issue that they had was not with ADOS people as a whole. It was the xenophobic stuff that some people that they said that we espoused to, because we did not want to include other black folks in a reparations claim because of that 1950 compromise crap. And because we stood shoulder to shoulder and said this is the reason why, all communication stopped. You can go through my Twitter feed. in Cobra's Twitter handle, whoever's running their Twitter handle has clearly made it a point that anybody who is opposed to HR 40, as it is written right now, that they're gonna go on the attack, and they don't want to have.
Yes, they are exactly. They're protecting their work, but you guys, if you look at this from a long term. But if you step back and look at it, look at where all this started with the cult leaders, the breaking tone cult. So first of all, you got to step out of that mindset.
Antonio Moore. Okay, we're not talking about. I'm talking about me. Okay. I give two shits about Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. I give two shits.
All right, hold on, brother Mark. I'm sorry, brother Mark. We got the angry old dude in the building, the OG Otis. Let's let Otis come on in and give his. Otis don't give 2 cents. Otis give 5 cents. So we're gonna let Otis come in and give his 5 cents.
And then interpret.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Otis.
Unmute, O. Unmute yourself, Otis.
You're still muted.
You still muted. Okay, there you go.
Look, fam, I'm just going to jump in and tell y'all, not to brag, but over 12 years ago, and I put it up on Twitter, talked about our common ground. I knew of Darity when my son was 16. He's now 28. So I'm not trying to put y'all down when I tell you. The belief that in Cobra went against the idea of specificity because of ADOS is totally wrong. I can tell you that for a fact because I've followed the man that far. I've actually put out kernels in several of my tweets to the point that Miss I Know Everything YC has said that all of this is because of them. It's not true. The concept of specificity started almost 12 years ago and I put the link in the chat to show y'all one of the presentations by Darity. Everything that you heard from the specificity to the accrued effects and impact and the fact that reparations is not just about slavery, why it should be against the U.S. government versus judicial, all of that was laid out by Darity over 12 years ago. So to believe that the animus began with ADOS is totally factually wrong. I don't care that the followers of ADOS believe that it all started with them. It's not true. And just because you believe it's true does not make it fact. That is one of the main sticking points with my personal take on why I stopped following ADOS. Given empirical facts, the community was still given disinformation. Now, I'm going to tell you again, I don't just come out here and run my mouth about this because I would have never known Darity personally had it not been for Cobra coming up with the hashtag ADOS Exposed. I created the hashtag because they were the ones trying to do the misinformation campaign shortly after the Selma Jubilee. Ray Winbush put it up on his Facebook page, and one of his students sent it to me. I sent it to YC, and they dismissed it as in Cobra was somebody that didn't matter and was just doing shit with a bullhorn at local functions. So I'm going to say to you again, this whole construct that is about xenophobia is a false and totally fictitious off-ramp used by Cobra because they did not like the fact that Darity got invited to a function at Chicago University of Chicago, from a friend. And when that friend did not disclose that it was sponsored by Cobra, he did the event. Once he did the event, the leaders of ADOS claimed that he was in bed with Cobra. So there's a lot of disinformation. I can bring the receipts, and I'm going to tell you this. Just like that boy, Paul Sowers, who was sent to me through emails. When I got him to give me his personal phone number, yes, I had dialogue with him, but I got to tell you what I did, because I am that Negro. I got him in a 4-way chat that included myself, him, and 2 other principals. The other principal was a friend of Dr. Cosby's, and the other person was Sandy Darity. Why? Because I had to show Sandy Darity that both of those people were trying to use his information, but exclude him from any final destination. So when somebody tells you that they know something on the inside that started 3 or 4 years ago, let me tell you, that's the same attitude that AOC had when she said reparations should go to Puerto Ricans because of 1960. You don't tell me that the train left the station in Boston, you get your ass on in Chicago and tell me the trip was good when I know I went through hell to get to Chicago. So when y'all are talking about this, I want you to get the perspective again that I used to call in on the show and say that I hold myself to. You got to ask yourself, what is it I do not know that I need to know? Some of these narratives have been created to do just what it did. Keep us running around on a damn hamster wheel instead of focusing on reparations. My pivot is to somebody that's done the work for 30 years. I don't care if you want to have experts on immigration. Immigration is an important part of this, but it is not the integral part of what we're going to have to do to change the minds of 160 million white folk.
Right.
And I want you to understand what happened today in that meeting was the GOP putting together a much more comprehensive presentation because they work together as a unit. It doesn't matter if you and I know all the countervailing facts.
That's right.
When this thing is about the people that just walked in the theater. They haven't seen the trailer. They don't know the backstory. And let me throw in one other thing. All of that credit they're getting for the Fred Hampton movie, guess what? It ain't much different than the damn Wakanda one. If that movie had been about the real importance of a 21-year-old black man being able to bring together people from across this nation from completely desperate situations, white boys that were rednecks, communists, socialists, atheists, Baptists, Muslims, he had to go. And if you don't understand that the same thing is happening to the other old gray man, understand this. This is the Negro live from the bunker that don't mind going toe-to-toe to anybody spreading disinformation.
Hey,
Much love, family. I'm out.
Hey, I gotta say, Otis, man, it's when listening to you is so much easier than reading your messages. I'll be like, I needed an encryption machine to understand what you be typing. When you're talking, it's very clear. I was like,
let me tell you this. I've been attacked by that. As a matter of fact, Friday Jones just popped up. She'll tell you. We were in a group called a round table. I've been told that repeatedly that I talk in cryptic, but I told y'all the truth. I don't do social media to engage with people over personal animus. It is a public diary for me. So if I drop in your mentions and I put something in, it's not for you to, quote, get it right away. I don't spoon feed people. I was 40 years old before I had a child of my own. Raised him the same way. I can give you the meal. It's up to you to pick up the knife and fork and figure out how you're going to eat it. I'm not going to cram it down your throat, and I don't care if you think I'm a crazy old man.
No, we don't think you're crazy.
You know how many times I've been a great caller.
So look, we know now that when Otis sends us a message, he's giving us the ingredients to make our own meal, fam.
That's right. And I'm going to tell you again, I called in when I had the luxury of calling in when I was a utility for Breaking Brown. I tell everybody the same thing I tried to tell them when I told them start a hashtag. Those hashtags are folders. If you think I'm a crazy old man, click that folder, or better still, use that hashtag, put my handle in. It'll show you everything I posted on, and you'll find out for 4 or 5 years I've been doing this. I didn't start with ADOS. I thought that their mission was reparations. When I garnered for myself that it was something other than reparations, that's when I walked away quietly. I didn't know dark at anybody. But I do take pleasure in the fact that once they caught on, they made the allegations in our subtweet. No, I got a personal diary.
Hey, we got to thank you too,
when
Otis.
I get you with this information, I have a tendency to make a folder for you. Much love to you, fam. Keep doing the work.
Definitely. We got to thank
real quick. We got it.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead,
I know
Joe.
what you about to say. No,
Yeah, we just want to thank you, Otis, for putting BTP together. You did a
thank
hell
you
of a
for building
job.
us.
Thank you for building us. You did a hell of a job.
Yeah,
you know what really
maniacal
gets me?
plan worked, Otis.
Hey, what really gets me is I'm too dumb to know anything. Just an old Negro hunkered down in his bunker who gives a damn about him. But I'm smart enough to bring together 4 sharp young men, run off Mark Stevens because I was on him about specificity and tightening up his game. Look, and I see you finally got away from Derek Hamilton too. But I ain't even gonna go there in detail.
Otis came on here throwing elbows.
Wait a minute. It took a while for Friday Jones to have any love for me too, because I don't care. The truth don't care about your feelings, and I ain't here to copy you. So I changed diapers for many of my friends' children so they could go out and have a life. And I didn't get that responsibility till I was 40. So I don't believe in trying to cram no meal down your throat. If all you want is oatmeal and don't want to pick up that knife and fork to eat the steak, ain't my problem. Well, we're going to get there, though. I trust that when I'm dusting dirt, y'all will still be taking care of this thing. Keep on doing the work. And guess what? You just got a cram course when you were going along with the people that kept on telling you immigration is the way to get there. That is not the tip of the spear, although it is a very important part of understanding how we've been abused by this entire system. Much love to you.
Indeed, indeed.
Love you, Otis.
I agree.
Before you go, you did tighten my ass up about Derek Hamilton. I will say, if y'all don't understand, that's why I told y'all, some of y'all, we were talking about Otis. I said, I have a master's degree in understanding Otis because he got real quick a few years ago because he knew that I had relationships with Derek Hamilton because we were both at Ohio State. In the Kerwin Institute for social inequality. So he got my ass together about Derek, and he broke it down to me. So when Otis throws out his little, I say that he always, it's like fishing, right? So his analogy is more like if I teach a man to fish, you know what I'm saying? If I show you how to, if I I forgot how it goes, but
let me help you with it, bro.
Yeah.
Instead of telling you what to think, I give you the information so you can come to a conclusion and know what the hell you're talking about. I watched you sharpen up your game a whole lot different than you did when you went on that radio station the first time and I tried to inbox you. Stop taking this shit personal, brother. I got people I talk to now. Look what they did to me. Guess what? I've said it before in private and I'll say it now. Everybody that's walked in this space and talked about organizing, bringing people together and empowering them has been burned in effigy or defamed. Ain't too much none of them can say about me because I ain't got a dime from nobody. And everybody, including some of them that left in their chapters, got upset with me when they was trying to make me a YouTube star. What the hell I look like being 67 years old trying to be a YouTube star? Get real.
Yeah. Give a man a fish and feed him for a day. You teach a man how to fish and feed him for a lifetime. That was the analogy I was going to use because he got me right. My first radio interview on reparations, Otis led into my ass. Oh my God, he gave me a crash course real quick on how I should present myself and the cases for reparations when I go out there. So I appreciate it, Otis. My wife loves you. She always asks about you. You know what I'm saying? You got me.
Brother, I'm gonna tell you the same thing I said when Tone first insulted me and called me a dumbass boomer. People were inboxing me talking about how you let him do that. This is America. He got free speech. But you know what? 4 years later, you'll find out who the dumbass is. See, being educated in one field does not make you wise nor understand how the whole thing works.
Exactly.
But I tell you again, honestly, my
father. You should repeat that. Just because you're smart in one area does not make you a genius.
And look, I got to tell you this. My friend from the Air Force must know I'm on here. He's calling me. Did I get dropped?
You're still here.
Okay, I'll just tell you this. I used another phrase that ticked off some people. Taxpayers' money helped me to refine the idea of thinking about multiple possibilities rather than settling on a speculation that you think might be true. The reason being, I do prep work, PREP. Look at all the available evidence, correlate, evaluate, eliminate. Taxpayers' dollars taught me that sitting on the ground with the largest nuclear weapon in the world. I've said it before. One of the first black people to do it after the rocket had been there for 10 years. When they tried to get me to go around and be that Negro, talking to on Black History Month and stuff in Tucson, Arizona, they got upset with me because the first thing I did after I gave them the prepared speech in writing, but then I got up there and ad-libbed and told the people, my problem is, why the hell did it take 10 years for somebody like me to be here? I ain't special. There's a whole lot of smart-ass black people out here. Get real with it. Do the prep, celebrate in private, but you got to keep your nose to the grindstone. That's exactly why you saw all of those people on the pro-reparationist side talk a whole lot of shit about what they thought they were doing, but when it came to real time, it was the GOP that knew how to what? Be agile and flip and give the person that was cut off a chance to finish their train of thought, even though we know it was a bunch of what? Bullshit and talking truth. Y'all got to stay alert. You're capable of doing it, and I take pride in knowing I had a little bit to do with giving you a little boot in the butt every now and then. But I'm proud of you. Keep doing it.
Otis, I love you because you got me all together, and I wouldn't be the reparationist that I am today if it wasn't.
But you know what? I look at those people. I look at the CBC and in Cobra and everybody's performance today, and I think I see like a lack of manpower. I see, a 30-year fight, and I see like, I don't know, when I finally picked up the phone and I called Cam, and this is after I had gotten a job as an organizer for the first time for pay and worked a 3-month gig and realized they taught you how to be an organizer.
Go ahead and tell us all. Tell us who you were working for.
Organizing Together 2020. It was a mobilizing for just progressive platform, not for a party, but it was before the election. This is as a result of working for Tom Steyer's campaign for volunteering. I was able to leverage that into a real job. But they teach you the basics of grassroots organizing, and it's actually a model. The first thing you do when you come on someone's turf is you reach out, say hello. How can we work together? Then you find ways to work together.
Look, let me say this and get out your way. That is assuming that you're talking to an honest broker. For instance, I don't go around telling people that I've been fighting with Cam Howard, Ari Maradazan, Conrad Worrell, Jared Ball, what I call the Northeast Corridor. Go look it up. I use it all the time. All of those people that are talking about being revolutionaries, but they own a government paycheck from a damn what? Black institution. So you got to wonder sometimes when people telling you to get out there and tear your ass, but they sitting back in the comfort of what? A professorship. Go ahead. Some of y'all up there in Chicago area, go talk to Fred Hampton Jr. and find out what his interaction is with some of those people. All of that clout they had, they ain't do nothing to make Fred Hampton's house a national historic site, but they got some issues on what he could do if he give up the rights to it and how they can get a commission at Morgan State. See, I ain't got nothing to hide. Can't nobody shoot me for nothing. Nobody could have told me that 12 to 13 years ago, when I was just studying Darity's work, that I would join in trying to help an organization that showed up 8-9 years later, and then they turn around and try to demonize me and say that I'm his right-hand man. No, I've studied that work, and I can tell you, I've heard him refine his stuff over a decade.
Right.
I've been lucky enough over the last 2 or 3 years to have a little input into telling him, you can't trust everybody to come to you with a smiling face. I'm going to leave it there and get off. Y'all keep doing that work.
All right, peace. Hey, we got to, wait, hold on.
I shared the same with him as well. So, we know.
And what I want to say to you, the thing I want to leave with is, Stop
Otis
taking
and I
it
got
personal.
stories.
You and anybody else that shows up and start talking about organization instead of taking orders, gon' get a boot in your ass. But when you shoot at me, I don't watch many movies. And matter of fact, I'm not a movie person. Up until my son came along, the last movie I saw was Jaws. So that's kind of Negro I am. But I do a whole lot of reading on stuff like Grace Lee Boggs, W.E.B. Du Bois, Garvey, the Durban Conference, because I want to know about the real world stuff. And if you stop taking it personal, you're gonna see that area that you say, hold on, maybe I ought to dig into this a little bit more.
Right.
Somebody might have given me some misinformation, or as people like to say, a real good sounding narrative that's devoid of fact and truth.
Wait, let's introduce. Definitely shout out to the OG Otis coming in, dropping bombs as usual. That wisdom that's needed. You know, we don't get it right all the time. Otis, I retweeted something, and Otis was like, "That's not what I said." He's like, I went back, I had to look at it. I was like, "Damn, he's right." I was like, "I got you." I had to delete that. This was the other day. Matter of fact. So, no, and it's funny too, right? I want to introduce. We had a new guest as well, but it's funny because we know that you look back on hashtags for a reason. I forget me personally forget the process of clicking on the hashtag, and it's gonna bring up all of the times that not just you, but anybody use that particular hashtag. So I was thinking one day, I was like, damn, they because YC keeps lying, talk about Otis and Dr. Darity put together and built BTP, right? And I was like, damn, we've been doing Be the Power for the longest. We've been talking. So I went to my old Facebook page and I just typed in hashtag Be the Power, posted it on my wall, and then I clicked on it. Then I scrolled all the way back to 2014 where I felt, and it was because of Otis going through all of his, leaving that digital footprint that made me think about that. So I found all of the times I hashtagged Be the Power and the political statements that I was making 6-7 years ago that lines up with a lot of what we're saying on Be the Power. I got a brother that's in the Black Watch. Introduce yourself, brother. I've watched several of your videos where you have gone in. Introduce yourself to the family and let people know your channel. Yeah, no doubt, brother Shannon.
Brother Shannon, I appreciate the brotherhood right there, because really, I mean, y'all, you're more than a breath of fresh air. I'm a little overwhelmed because I just listened to Otis. I just listened to Otis and shit from my kitchen to the gas station and back in my truck. So I'm overwhelmed. And I know what it is because it's Wednesday and it's AARP day. So y'all letting all the old people on today. And it's good. It's AARP day. I got my AARP card, so I'm getting my discounts today. But in real talk, I just really want to say, because I got so much to say, I'm not even going to go into that. I appreciate Otis for who he is. I appreciate everybody on the panel today. And the way I'm coming in kind of throwing elbows, because I've said it to a couple people actually that I've talked to personally, I felt like these last couple years have been a waste of my time. I felt like literally following, and I'm not a simp, so I will say it, literally following Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell, thinking that down ballot this and down ballot that. Hold on one second. I'm around the corner. Nah, you ain't gotta do nothing. But I'm on YouTube and somebody let me on their platform, so y'all fucking me up.
Bring some milk.
Bye.
Don't
my dog's barking in the background because they don't think I'm coming home. I'm coming home. All right, sorry about that, y'all. Y'all know I got real life going on when I be doing my shit. Y'all see my videos, you know how real life is.
They asking where your Starbucks at.
Right, where the Starbucks at?
Come on, man, wait a minute. Come on now. Come on now, y'all know me. You know me. They put it on the cup. I don't even tell them to put it on the cup. And then I told them one day, I said, you know what? You might have to stop putting ADOS on the cup because now they want to start charging a toll fee to use the motherfucker. So you might have to stop. So I'm gonna start training them to put ADOF on my cup because I am a descendant of freedmen.
That's right.
My great grandfather was born in 1874, so he wasn't born into slavery. He was born a freedman, and I just want to say, like I said, I felt like 2 years I lost my life because I down balloted. I did all this shit. I did everything. But what they also told me is they said politics is not about emotion. It's about exchange. And I've always believed that. Even been listening to y'all, I know where y'all are getting your information from Dr. Doherty, from Dr. Claude, from Neely Fuller, from Mr. Shelton, all y'all deep. But one of the things that they said was politics wasn't about emotion, it was about exchange. Well, what did Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell do? They got emotional. I was on the live that night when Antonio did that punk shit. I've been a part of y'all lives, and I didn't realize the shit that she was saying on her platform until y'all brought it up. Until I was like, wait a minute. I done seen her put stuff up, but you don't really pay attention to all that little slick shit she be saying because she said it so much. But then I was like, she was talking about these brothers. She's used y'all info.
That's right.
She's used y'all info.
Come on, teach, brother. Teach.
He done froze.
Oh,
He froze.
froze.
He froze at the wrong. He froze at the wrong moment.
Right.
Because people don't. Hey, let me say this, right? People are not peeping how she's used a lot of the talking points and the research that we've done on BTP. We say it amongst ourselves, and we just say to ourselves, "Oh, we're flattered. Thank you." Right? But other than that, it's a lot of people that's not peeping. Huh?
I said she's used my talking points before.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that's what those type of people do. They got to use what
but
they
now
got to
we
use.
know, right? Who
That's
knew?
right. But we just
without giving anybody any type of props, because what that will is that will put attention on them, and that's the last thing that they want.
Right. Exactly.
See, the way I look at it is that in order, it seemed like Tone talked about the 4 Ds, right? He broke down the 4 Ds, right? And then they essentially practiced that same.
Wait, those were. Wait, hold on, brother. Wasn't those Byron Allen's 4 Ds?
Yeah.
Those came from Byron Allen,
right? Those Byron Allen 4 Ds, right? Because he went on the Breakfast Club and actually said them before Tone even did anything, right? So we talk about these 4 Ds, and then they turn around and utilize them against people who they have opposition with. And what I saw, and my distraction from ADO, the ADOS movement started 2 years ago. I was the very first person that came out publicly and said anything that was
you were.
I was the first person, the very first person inside the movement who was a chapter leader who said anything disparaging, because my thing was that I'm getting my ass handed to me by Otis. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna put it in context, because I was doing these shows and Otis was giving me the business because of my relationship with Derek Helms. And he said, your judgment is cloudy because you're coming from it from one particular standpoint. I want to open you up to all this stuff. And me and Otis, we used to be going back and forth. So I had to call the brother like, hey, Otis, what is going on? Why you got this beef with me? And then when he broke it down to me, I understood further where I was at. So we talking about the BTP. Y'all brothers came on the scene and you all were spitting facts and data. And that's one thing that people, if I think I'm the smartest person in the room, right? And I can start to get challenged by people who are just of equal intellect as mine, I gotta find a way to destroy you and diminish you and make you out to be something that you're totally not. Because I need to be able to justify why people are listening to me. And that is the definition of a cult. That's what cults do, right? And I said this 2 years ago. This is cultish behavior. What we are doing, this is cultish behavior, because I don't follow nobody blindly. I was in the military for 20 years. I follow nobody blindly, because you follow people blindly, you will get killed. You will get killed, and then they will write narratives about what happened. And I have seen it happen over my career where people do stuff because somebody told them to do it, and they knew it was wrong, And then when the ramifications of that came down, the person who told him to do it stood on the other side and watched the person get punished for it. So I understand the notion of blind loyalty. And so now we at the point now where everybody, the people who are still following the hashtag movement, right? These people weren't here 2 years ago. These are newbies. These are new people. Because if you saw the changing of the guard, and you've been around long enough, then you would know that the stuff that you were seeing is not right. And two people cannot cannot think that they own the reparations conversation when people like Queen Mother Moore and Dr. Darity and the Cobras and the Narcs and the IB-21s and
but Mark, don't you see then how? But don't you see how we did that as a group, ADOS, with in Cobra that was already there, and note that in Cobra is a coalition of different organizations. That's why they speak in such generalized terms. I believe that, and from my discussion, but I saw us as taking on that personification, and Antonio and Yvette activated us, and then we said, no, we are the conversation. Everybody that came, we were doing the same thing, and it's just now recently that we've come away from that. And I'm saying you can't wake up from one dream and then still be in another dream. This situation was a time for us to step back and kill every single sacred cow, because we keep getting caught up. We can't jump respectfully from Antonio and Yvette to Darity. It has to be the agenda. It has to be what is good for the majority of the collective. And there are some compromises.
I'll say this, Dawn. No, I'll say this, right, Dawn? Darity is not looking to be kneeled down to like Xerxes from the 300 movie in the same way Yvette and Antonio is. He's obviously he's information driven, right? To me, this is my personal assessment.
He can't control the people that I feel are looking for a place.
Yeah, but he's not looking
for that. But I feel that there are people who they have transitioned from one camp and are looking for
another
else.
Messiah.
Yeah,
everybody's looking for a Messiah.
I didn't use the word, I feel like, I feel like that might be where we're at. And I'm saying, no, if we're going to stand up, we're going to stand up. And we're going to look around at every sacred cow. We can't be all discerning and be able to dress down Kamala, Obama, and Yvette and Antonio, and then not be able to look objectively at Cobra and Worrell and all these other people. I'm just saying we have to reassess everything, because when I look back, I say if I was on another planet and I looked down on Earth and saw these groups of Black people fighting over trying to just get a study done on their situation to form a commission that's going to make these decisions that they're saying they want. It's like wanting to know what your child is going to grow up and do for a living before you're even married. So it's told to me, I think the strange thing, I feel like that the ADOS organizers were a phenomenon, that all these years HR 40 has been a joke. Somehow they were able to maneuver it into a position, and let's not give Cobra any credit. Let's say they finally got it. They said, yeah, the landscape is such now, we can make this final edit, add us to this bill and some money. So prior to them adding that, let's remember Congress is 82% white. So if this would have ever passed, even if it's best form, it would have been more than likely an all-white commission. But in 2018, they finally entered into those few edits, the tweaks that made it a little more specific. And then what happened? The bill was reintroduced. ADOS was activated at the end of 28. Marlon had that chapter meeting. Everything kicked off. And Cobra knew that Yvette and Tone had entered the fight. They sent them a letter welcoming, because that's what grass organizers do. That's 101.
I
Someone
seen that
new
letter.
comes in.
I seen that letter.
So they read it. They read that letter. Yvette took that letter, read it on. He said that they ignored them. She read it on her show, declared them the enemy, and then the next thing you know, that Dr. Derry had been invited to the hearing. They didn't get invited, and she sent out the tweet. Oh well, I see whatever snarky comment she made, and that has been the extent of the relationship. And we know, a lot of stories of where Yvette and Antonio just refuse to go out and tour, refuse to talk, refuse to come on HBCU tours. Just very strange. And I just feel like the organizers complicated everything. He called everybody's bluff.
All right, hold on. Go ahead, bro.
I was listening to Sister Dawn, and I have to address it because I've said it many times on these shows. Look, you all think y'all know Tone and Yvette. And, Sister Dawn, I don't know the extent of your relationship with these people. But I've said this on this show. You got to watch out for these people who come in, because that's basically like a COINTELPRO type tactic, or agent type tactic.
Exactly.
Like I said, I read in the book that they have people who come into these communities with the intentions of starting an organization, right?
Yeah.
And when the organization starts, the very people who started are the ones that are the agents of chaos that go to actually destroying the organization and the movement.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Y'all talking about these people like they y'all friends or y'all ex-friends. These people ain't never been y'all goddamn friends.
Right.
They ain't never give a damn about reparations. You talk about somebody who sat on the damn board of a conservative immigration organization and basically what she's done, and nobody see it. And we know we have the issues and stuff with the immigrants, but what they did is they take the same P-first ideology and into the ADOS space.
Yeah.
We made a show. We made a show basically talking about the ideals of white supremacy that have been basically secretly deposited in black spaces. And this is what y'all dealing with.
Grim, your mic is kind of fading a little bit, bro.
Okay. Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's basically what we dealing with Tone and Yvette. These people are getting money now. They getting paid. They got minions that'll do almost anything that they want. This is basically not just cult 101, but this is agent 101.
I agree.
Just like what you were saying with the they don't want to go on college campuses. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that because they are 100% committed to non-movement. They are committed to destruction. And people be talking about these people like it's a misunderstanding, like it's a lack of communication, or that maybe they don't see things my way. These people are the goddamn enemies of the black people in this goddamn country. And that's the bottom line. So, people be Tony Vet this stuff. Stop talking about these people like they are ex-friends. These people came, and it's something nefarious about the whole ADOS movement. And it's just I'm not speaking for BTP. I'm not speaking for Naheem. I'm not speaking for Ali or Josh. But to me, that whole goddamn, if y'all disaffected from the ADOS movement situation, goddamn it, stop using that shit. Because the shit is rooted in evil. And when something is rooted in evil, it'll never be right when you cling on to something. In a personal situation, I talked to my brother Naheem about clinging to certain things. And when you cling into the shit don't never be right. And me and our personal conversations about another organization that we was in, So we got to keep these things in mind when dealing with these people. My whole thing is like, These people are not no voice for us. People just listen to them because all of us propelled them into that goddamn space. So let's stop talking about these people like they our friends. Do we have to keep addressing them all the time in this video and that situation? These people are crooks. We did several shows showing how Tony and Yvette and never had another goddamn original thought in their life, probably. Not one. Y'all sit there, we sat there and we talked about how we'll do a show and we don't get credit for this shit. We coming up with the ideas and the research because we don't have 500 followers and she got 2,000. So people think that she's the one coming up with this shit, and then they accuse us of grifting when this hoe watching our show. I'm sorry. When she watching our show, and then she get the ideas, and then she go on and don't give BTP credit for it. Tone do the same goddamn thing. You know, and see, when we have these personalities, and even when we disaffected from them, right, we still have like an affinity to them. Tony and Yvette. Let's forget them. They have no intentions of helping anybody at all. Look what he did, Ice Cube. He shit on Ice Cube.
Exactly.
Goddamn best friend. You know, and the bottom line is to it that, you know, I'm glad you all on here. I'm glad we talking about this because they put themselves in a space. Now we can't even get through arguments. You know, we can't get through certain things. We should, you know, we always talk about in Cobra this and Cobra that, and Cobra said this and Cobra said that. This whole discourse within Cobra and Narc and stuff like that started off non-civil. And a whole lot of people became Twitter trolls against those people. So let's say I smack Naheem, right? Naheem reaction is gonna be to smack me back.
Exactly.
So when you look at ADOS in the positions that Narc is concrete in a position because ADOS smacked the shit out of him. And you can't do that all the time. You have to be civil about the discourse. You have to get together and say, hey, you know, in this goddamn Twitter forum, you know, you can't be doing that to people. You got to call, you got to build, you got to talk to them. You follow what I'm saying to you? But the whole thing was attack. T.I. could have been one of our greatest allies because he was in that direction. You follow what I'm saying? But what? Oh, shut up. You ain't got no space here. You shouldn't be talking. Shut up, Ice Cube. Shut up, P. Diddy. Shut up, this. Because them people are fucking agents and they have nothing but to do but to stay on social media, get this junk, and then whatever right-wing organization is financing them and putting them up to split up our community.
Yeah,
and
fair.
I mean, I think it's an anti
Matthew J. O'Brien.
Can I?
I think it's
you guys,
like an
one second.
Wait, hold on.
One
Let
second.
Cynthia go because she got to leave, y'all.
Yeah, I got at least. So it's a few things that I wanted to wrap up before I roll out. I kind of want to go back to Narcan and Cobra and specifically Cam Howard. Now I understand, you know, a letter went out to vet, but whatever. They are inconsequential to me. I know what ADOS Chicago and especially our president and vice president has tried to do was to reach out to Cam and in Cobra in Chicago several times. And Marlon was always very nice to Cam, but for some reason they never responded as far as like being able to have like to be able to talk about, you know, policies when it actually came to reparations, especially concerning the legislation that was supposed to be happening in Chicago. And when I was talking about the the Cobra meeting that is supposed to be open to all, the only thing, like I said, that Arthur did was just sit down. They didn't even get a chance to for anything to be opened up to the floor in order for any person to speak. They just said that Cam Howard saw Arthur. It was like, okay, you got to go, you know, and he never provoked them or anything like that. Another thing is that you know, and this is what Marlon even told me. He said, mutual friends of Cam. One second. Let me finish, please. One of the things that Marlon even sent to me, he said the mutual friends of Cam and I even tried to getting them together several different times, and each time that Cam told them no, because he said that I was an enemy of the people. And the thing about it is that when, so we have to consider anytime that we're actually, trying to engage people when we're having these particular conversations, regardless of, Yvette and Tone. Like I said, they're inconsequential. We were talking about just trying to just work on stuff locally right here so that we could have a meeting of the minds, and they didn't even want to talk.
But was this in the midst of the Twitter wars though, Cynthia? Was this after we had been scrapping online though?
This was not too long after ADOS Chicago got formed. This was not too long after we got formed.
They never wanted to meet up with people.
No, they didn't.
Right.
So, I'm glad that you got a chance to have a dialogue, but, but as far as like, when we even tried to have a dialogue, Cam lives right here on the southeast side of Chicago. Okay. Don't live too far from where our old headquarters are.
This is
our headquarters.
Only because of the implosion. That's the only reason. We can go back and forth of why that is. But the thing about it is that we didn't have nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Let me finish. I said, but regardless of the tweefers going on, like I said, we ain't had nothing to do with that. And if we were actually putting ourselves as an organization that does political advocacy for Black people that was here in Chicago, and also pushing for for national reparations, you would think that another person who has been part of this would be doing it too. Matter of fact, even when I was talking about that town hall meeting that I was with, concerning the local resolution that they were trying to push in Chicago. After we gave our thoughts and all this other things of that nature, and especially about why are we not being specific when it comes to who we're talking about? Cam did a whole beeline from where he was all the way to the Arthur, and was like, listen, man, let me tell you something. He got real indignant with him. Okay. And this is even before they even had a chance to even have a conversation. So, I say all that to say is that maybe, like I said, that was probably your particular experience, but that was not ours. So I'm saying that for that. Now, as far as I am of the mind right now is, how do we move forward from here? Okay. And the reason being is because one of the things that I will credit Yvette and Tone for was waking up a large amount of us to actually engage in political work. I would definitely say, for me personally, I know that I am in the minority when it comes to this particular panel, but my political work did happen after ADOS, as far as the hashtag or whatever jumped off, and I specifically was looking for a chapter here in Chicago so that I can do work, because I felt that these particular conversations and also policy was extremely important, especially when it comes to our people. So I'll give them credit for that. But moving forward, we already know who these type of people, who they are. They're not honorable. They're not in it for our people. They're in it to ingratiate themselves and to give credit for themselves, when oftentimes they use other people's work to help frame the conversation about when it comes to political work for our group. And and that's fine, right? And if they want to get coins from it, more power to them. But that is not collective uplift. And we cannot get policy just from being a jibber jabber on YouTube. Okay, that I don't know how that would ever get us legislation that we need. So I think at this particular point, that now that we know who these people are, and that we basically know that HQ, from what I'm seeing, is a non-starter, that we need to just pivot and just move on to doing what we need to do. I think stuff like this is important. Even though that we all don't agree on the same points, we are here because we care about our people.
We are here because we care about making sure that we change position from where we are to where we need to be, which is being able to actually access what it really means to be a citizen, which is something that we never got as descendants of freedmen, as foundational Black Americans, as Black first, or whatever you want to call yourself, right? We never got that. So it's important for us to be able to coalition with one another to do the work that we need to do in order for us to push the needle so that we can get proper policy for our people so that we can move forward. And that's all I got to say. I love you all. Stay Black, stay strong, stay descendants of freedmen. Yeah, do that.
Ain't got no choice.
Ain't got no choice.
Wait, let me see if I get it right. Brother Naheem. Don't just fight the power, be the power.
There you go.
And when you become the power, then whatever you say after that, be the power, people.
Close enough. Close enough, sis. Close enough.
Hey, Cynthia's right though. I did some research, right, and I remember as an undergrad, I learned about the Gary Declaration. And if y'all don't know anything about the Gary Declaration, it was in 1972. Black activists and organizations from all over the country got together to come up with a Black agenda, and it was called the National Black Political Convention. There's only been one, and it was done in Gary, Indiana, back in 19.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this.
All right, so 7,000 Black people from all these organizations, all came together over 3 days to come up with a Black agenda that worked for everybody. We don't have that in the reparations movement right now. We don't have that central point where everybody can get behind. What we have are fashions of reparations groups who are all wanting to state their claim and say that they're right, that this is the way that it has to be. But what happens is you turn around and you get people that'll come out their mouths in the community and say, well, they don't speak for me. That person don't speak for me. That person don't speak for me. But damn it, if nobody's speaking for you, then we're never going to get anything done. We're never going to get anything done because somebody has to speak. Somebody has to do that. So in my mind, I think because there have been olive branches thrown out in Cobra, I have personally reached out to them and said, hey, let's have the discussion. Let's put it all out there. Let's have a real civilized discourse. And then maybe, perhaps, the 80-20 that Don is talking about, perhaps that 80 might get to 90 or 95. Because I believe that we are probably more in line with each other than we really think we are. Ideology, it might be a little different. But in the same token, when these olive branches get thrown out and they get summarily dismissed because they don't even want to have the conversation, then to me, if you don't even want to have the discourse, I may not agree with everybody on this panel. And Don, you know, me and you don't agree. We probably about the 30% that we agree on, right? But we both love Black people.
I didn't realize it was that low. I thought we agreed on a lot more than that. Well, excuse me.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing a hypothetical out, right? But if we could come together on one particular thing, reparations is something that we all agree that needs to happen, right? How do we get there? There are different ways. Some of us do this. Some of us look at this and say, this is the way we get there, right? All right. Some people may have a whole different idea of it. But if we can't get together in a room and have the discourse, how are we expecting 40 million Black people to be on one accord for reparations and try to fight against 168 million white folks? If we can't even get Black people to understand that we need reparative justice, if we got Black people like Larry Elder, Herschel Walker, Burgess Owens, Candace Owens, and numerous other Black conservatives who are out here that will play into the narrative that Barack Obama is progress for Black folks. If that Kamala Harris being the vice president is progress for Black folks. When we know that the data does not support, just because because white folks voted for them doesn't mean that we are some unified front. Right. There has to be a conversation where reparationists have a convention of some sort, and everybody comes to the table to hash.
But that's the thing, and that's the thing with ADOS.
Man, I gotta hit you with the Dawn. I gotta hit you with the not the Dawn, the Angela fist on that one. Yeah.
Because I don't see that. I don't see because movements die. Movements, they die, they get co-opted, they die. All right. Hashtag movements, there's only been really two, really. There's ADOS and Black Lives Matter, right? And both have summarily ended up almost in the exact same situation where you had chapters that left. Right? So when the people who are doing the work on the ground leave, then that leaves a void for the people at the top. Because if you haven't been doing any work and you have been your whole existence is predicated on the people under you doing all the work, then when they decide to go off and do their own thing, it leaves you in a space of void. That is the problem in the Black community. That is where I see somebody said that's kind of where I disagree. Okay. I'm saying is,
but look, I mean, just let's read it. He said that's kind of where I disagree. Well, I think it's fair to say that reparationists agree on more than they disagree with. I think those disagreements are so different. So he's basically saying he just disagree. I guess your percentage is something that he disagreed on as well. Because I think that most of us agree on the core fundamental elements of reparations, right? The data that it takes to get there, the history that it takes to get there. On those things, we are in agreement on. Dawn has a specific way that she wants to get this thing going, and I listen. I try to listen with an impartial ear to it. I listen to y'all's pushback as well. I disagree with certain stuff. But at the end of the day, we all got to be at this table hammering this thing out. Concessions will have to be made here. Some concessions will have to be made there. It's just as simple as that.
But
so
I think this whole thing is
politics.
It's politics.
But there's a convention in July. There's a national. I'm just saying there are other organizations. The national, I just found out about them, and I guess they're part of NARC. I don't know because
but here's the thing: if you having this
convention, but they have a document.
Okay, if you having this convention, right?
They have like 100-page reparations plan.
Oh, Don, you understand that? I'm not disputing what you're saying. What I'm saying is, if you're going to have a conference and you don't have opposing minds at the table, if you don't bring
it's open, I'm saying in July, we need to then, if this is where we're at, in July, there's a national that we should go to.
Don,
hold on.
I'm not sitting up saying that I'm going to go to somebody's reparation conference and sit in the Raptors and watch people talk about their plan for reparations. No, I can do that watching the damn Zoom call. Everybody does reparations. What I'm saying is, if they're going to allow other people, other voices to be on the panel, what I'm saying is, you bring BTP, you bring the reparations collective, you bring the Black
Yes, sir.
You bring all
that
these
is
groups.
Why I'm sharing it. We have to put in the effort.
All right, look, let me say.
They're going to have a work group. It's the National Reparations Institute. They have some massive 100-page plan, but what they want to do is to have a coming together of all of the reparations group for work group sessions over the course of like 3 days. It's a start. We have to go, instead of continuing to form different groups, maybe we have to do more coming together, because what I find, we all agree on the core tenets, and what ADOS's purpose was to do was to exploit and weaponize a microaggression that we have with our cousins in the diaspora and try to use that to undermine this entire movement.
But who
I
are
think
they?
ADOS
All
is
right,
job.
hold on.
I'm talking about the cult
Look,
members.
we're gonna have
You
a
mean who's behind them?
hold on, Dawn, Sister Dawn. We're gonna have a conversation on this, Brother Mark Stevenson. I think Josh said next week. Everything that y'all are talking about, we're gonna have a whole discussion on. We're gonna have our own personal HR 40 or reparationist hearing that we can hash it on. We're gonna have some like Robert rules of order going on. Well, the people want to hear Brother Blackwatch before we get up off it. Oh, Josh.
Yeah, I just want to say in regards to that
But when you get finished, Josh, I want Brother Blackwatch to come on, and then we're gonna start closing this thing out, man. My sitting in this chair bothers me. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, indeed. And I appreciate everybody else jumping on. But I want to say everybody else on here, if you have any suggestions of people that because we, obviously we can't have 50 people on here, but if you have any suggestion on individual, it could be yourself, individuals that you want us to have, or that you just pretend like this was a real HR 40 hearing with the U.S. Congress. You have any people that you believe that's the best people that you want to have on that people's hearing, right? Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, Messenger, or whatever the case may be, or leave it in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, we want everybody on this piece, man. We want our fam from
not just
Cali, everywhere, to be on this particular panel. We need everybody, our people up in New York, like the reparationists that's really about reparations.
Yeah, and and I want people that may have a dissent, that may not be in agreement. I want some people to have a difference of opinion. I want to, hey, look, if you got some coons or something, or people that Black folks that disagree with getting reparations, invite them. If you got some professors from a university that disagree or think that they need to have class-based policies that everybody is better, bring them on. If you got somebody that is a politician, bring them on. We want to have a discussion for everybody that's interested in talking in the topic, so we can get through a lot of these objections. We can get to a place where we can even talk about. Actually, you notice on today's hearing, nobody mentioned anything about what's on the bill. They didn't mention one iota piece of information about anything on that bill. So we also want to get to that. And lastly, if you got somebody that's a part of NARC and COBRA that's willing to come and have the conversation, a respectful conversation in some form of what we saw today from the congressional hearing, where it's kind of order, it's not people talking over each other. Everybody got a specific amount of time to speak, and it's open to rebuttals and all that kind of stuff. Invite them on too. So that's what we want to have.
Definitely. Brother Blackwatch, Brother Shannon, let's get you on here and give us some closing out, and then I'll let my bros give some statements and we'll get up over here. You on mute, Brother Shannon. Is it not? Let me see if I can unmute it from my end. There you go.
Am I good?
Yeah, you good, brother.
So, and I appreciate everybody. Sorry about that disconnection. I was heading home and I lose Wi-Fi and all that, but I appreciate everybody doing what you're doing. And one of the things I think we need to get back as a collective is understanding, because I am now a reparationist. We obviously know if you're in this, you better be a reparationist. And with reparations, some people I think are losing sight that reparations is about repair. It's not just about the check. It's not just about, it's about repair. And when we talk about adding these different factions of people that might not be descendants of slavery, that might not be descendants of freedmen, Black immigrants, when we're talking about them, we got to talk about their level of repair. What do they need to be repaired for?
Thank you.
And it's not so much that they haven't experienced what some of the things we've experienced, but they haven't experienced them nearly the time, and definitely the detriment for them has not been what it is for us. So we've got to get back to talking about reparative justice, and if they need to be repaired, then they're a part of the Black agenda. But reparations and recompense, that is for descendants of slavery. That is for descendants of freedmen. That is not for immigrants. That is not for people that came over here voluntarily. Just because you left that soil, because you couldn't get it over here, now you coming over here, you can't get what I get. I haven't been able to leave this soil and go over there and get what you can get over here. I can't go to the University of Ghana. I can't go to the University of Nigeria and get all type of grants and shit. But they can come over here and get the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship, get the Martin Luther King Scholarship, get all that shit that I can't even qualify for. So that to me would be reparative justice. And we can only get reparative justice if we get restored. We've got to get restored. We can't let other people come in line. This 11 million immigrants that they're talking about expediting citizenship for, that immediately puts 11 million descendants of freedmen out of work, out of housing, out of healthcare, out of education. How you gonna bring in 11 million people and you got 11 million people that are displaced right now?
But you see,
that's a problem.
Talking about our Black immigrants, and so we will not be talking about those 11 million other immigrants who we're really competing with for real, for real.
You better get used to working with Latinos. You better get used to working with Latinos because there's about to be more of them than you. That's what your president said. He didn't tell Latinos, you better get used to working with Black people because they're descendants of slavery. They're descendants of freedmen because there's more. He said there's going to be more Latinos here than you. He just took a people that ain't been here over 60 years in masses and put them over us. Immediately. Expediting citizenship. We got to wait 16 years to get a driver's license. They can come over here 30 days and be driving on the wrong side of the road.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Hey, look, we coming up on 3 hours. I can't sit here no longer. And we going live tonight to do part 2 of the.
And everybody needs to come back. Everybody needs to come back. Stop getting on all these other podcasts and stuff. You need to come back here. You need to come back here. We got to get the collective here. How in the hell did Tariq Nasheed have 32,000 viewers and we only get 1,000 over on this side?
Hey, and they need to be checking out your channel as well, Brother Shannon.
I appreciate that. Please check out the Blackwatch channel. I appreciate that.
Check out the
but they need to be here. Y'all leaders in this space. Y'all leaders in this space.
Honest, brother. Honest, man. So we gonna round it out, Brother Ali. Did you Grim, did y'all have anything y'all want to close out with?
Wow, I'll say real quick, man. I've enjoyed the conversation. The dialogue is amazing. I'm driving around New York City, man, so I'm just listening in and really taking in everything that everyone is saying. So I appreciate it. That's about it.
This joint got lit today. Oh, brother Grim, you got something you want to say?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good. Look, I want to say this. This just me, Look, I know I got a little bit fiery. I apologize.
Don't apologize for shit. We need that.
Wait. Hold on.
Alpha males.
Hold on, Black Watch. I mean, I'm an alpha male. Don't get that twisted. But I'm just saying, they have sisters on this. They have sisters on this show. So, I said a few choice words, and I apologize to those sisters for those choice words that
Queens are warriors. They warriors, and if they ain't warriors, they trolls. Go back over there and break ground.
Wait. Hold on. Don't go there, Black Watch. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you, but don't do that to me, brother. But I'm just saying, that's just me. I just want to apologize to those sisters for my choice words. But I'm like you. I get a little
real
bit
man, right? That's a real man right there.
So I get excited about some of these things because one thing I can't stand is evil. So I get a little bit excited, but I just want to apologize to the sisters for my choice words, and with that, I say peace.
Peace, Brother Josh.
Peace, brother. Sorry to cut you off, brother. I get excited. I'm sorry.
No doubt. Brother Josh, you want to say something?
Hey, I just want to say shout out to everybody that was at that march on last Saturday in DC. Dawn, hey, you did a great job, you and Tara, setting up that thing and running it. It's something that I can see in the future in different circumstances, a day that's not Valentine's Day, and it's not icy
or
outside, you know what I mean?
snowing, or
Yeah.
these aren't
And
late.
and a little bit further away from people listening to, people that's plotting black folks was plotting against the reparations march,
No, yeah.
all things considered, shout
All
out to
those
y'all.
things.
And I look forward to the clips coming out. And I just want to say, I am a reparationist. We see y'all tonight. Peace.
Peace. Sister Dawn, you have anything you want to close out with?
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh. Be the Power. Thank you guys for stepping up and providing, a place for people to come for intelligent conversation about, the current political situation in the future. That's what we need. And to ADOS, DMV, Tansy, Asun, thank you for coming out to the march. Josh really took us home and really put a pin in it. So we were glad. And Tara, Perry, a Black Pack. But more importantly, I'm just glad to be here, and I'm glad we're at this point. And I think that, we got a lot of, we have a lot of options as a group. And I think that we're in a good place. We can keep this honest dialogue going, and we got a place like Be the Power to come and have these conversations. I think, we're going to be fine. And I'm looking forward to this. Too deep for me. It sounds traumatizing already.
Definitely. So I wanted to be at that march. Oh man, it was just, I had two issues going on that was affecting my movements, and I just got to the point where I told myself to chill before I
gotta do it. This work is exhausting, emotionally exhausting, and you guys have to put this show. People don't understand. It's not just getting on in front of a camera. You guys have to do the work. You got to prepare and be ready for this in addition to your daily lives. But we got out there. We had the go-go band. We did our speeches, and then we marched the 8-foot-tall banner with the executive orders to the White House, and we read them off the White House. Yeah, so the highlight video will come out, and it'll look litty lit. It'll be great.
That was really powerful. I seen that you had sent a little message with that, and I was definitely feeling that. I mean, Josh was giving us updates as well. I know he had went live one time, and he had put you on the camera as well. So that was great. That was great. I loved it. I know that it's something that should be emulated. Not, it shouldn't just happen again in Washington, D.C. It should be emulated at state capitals all over the United States of America, so that people
I think that's
will
what's
know.
going to happen.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think that's.
I'm trying to set something up now. I don't want to put too many details out there. I don't need no trolls that ain't not really trying to put no work in, trying to take over the ideas that we come up with just to really sabotage it and take credit for it.
Right.
So, we've been here 3 hours now. And I want to thank everybody for coming on. We had a discussion about HR 40. Then it went to a discussion about our own differences that we have with the HR 40 bill and the approaches that we need to take to get to this ultimate destination. And I think that it was good that our disagreements came out today. Next week, we're looking to do it in a more structured pattern so that everybody could get their stuff off, if you will. And hopefully we could get some people to, hopefully we could get some people to some big names to come on and give 5 minutes of their time as well. We'll put the invitation out nonetheless. I think it's going to be a real powerful discussion. We will be on tonight. To be honest with you, I'm about to discuss with I want to go in on what Burgess Owens and them said so bad. I'm ready to isolate all of them clips.
Oh, man.
I'm ready to isolate all of them clips and do that tonight and push back. But I got to talk. I can't do that unilaterally. We're a team. We got to agree on that. So Again, thank y'all for coming.
Show. Thank you so much.
Honors,
thank
sister.
you so much for having the show.
Oh, honors, sister, honors. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for coming through, brother Blackwatch. Brother
be
Shannon.
strong, man. Be strong. I know you catching a lot of the hits. I mean, I know the other brothers catch it too.
Oh yeah.
But you catching a lot of the hits because you get out there first with a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you know, you ain't buckling one bit.
Oh no, we don't.
You ain't buckling one bit. And they think that they fractionalized everything, but they haven't. They only fractionalized their situation.
Yeah, that's a
Your
fact.
situation is getting stronger.
Stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and so they're the ones that are now scurrying for credibility, whereas people have actually seen what really is real out here, and just keep going, y'all. There's more people watching y'all than you know. Trust me, there's more people. We just got to get, like you said, it's not about celebrity, but we do got to get some of those people that have those platforms. They need to be on y'all's show.
That's right.
They need to see that y'all really real out here, you know, because you're just for the people. You're not about for no personal gain out here, and that's really right. What I mean. I feel like I'm home now. I mean, you know, I feel like I'm home because I done found a crew of people that I can really learn from. Y'all brothers ain't none of y'all where I'm at calendar wise, but I learn from you. I learn, and I take that to my people, and I teach them what I learned from y'all. So there's authors and there's writers. It's a big difference. Y'all are authors. There's authors and there's writers. We know y'all to be authors. Y'all authors in this movement. Y'all authors in this movement. Then there are people that can write based off of somebody else's authoring. That's all I got.
I like that. I like that. Peace, brother. Good looking. Hey, we will be back 8:30.
I'll see you tonight. I'll see you tonight.
Definitely. Good looking.
Yes,
good
sir.
looking. We'll be back on tonight, 8:30, fam. One love, brother. Peace to the family, y'all. Let's go. Let's get it. We building. This is our politics. This is our politics right now. We are the people that's going to be in a seat in the halls of Congress and all that. And half of us is going to be from the hood. So when them Confederates try to storm the Capitol, we might be on the front lines like, yo, what up? Yo, don't just fight the power, become the power. And with that, you'll have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.